they call it. Though I think the most super thing about this next few days is SuperGT, of course. And it is looking like it's going to be quite an interesting race. The grid is a little bit mixed up with a few different cars in a few different places.
A few different drivers as well. The
Yes.
weather at Fuji always throws a curveball at us, as you say, on the lower slopes of Mount Fuji. It's not a given that the weather's going to be good. And a slightly longer duration for today's race, Sam, as well, looking at 500 kilometres, so almost 3 hours. But, you know, the safety cars always come into play with Super GT.
Now, the weather, we're just waiting for a weather update from the circuit at the moment. Hopefully I'll post it on Twitter quite soon. But yesterday, the weather was absolutely abysmal, and the free practice had to be delayed due to that Fuji fog that rolled in, and you couldn't see anything. So everyone was sitting around in the fog, not really moving anywhere.
Yeah, I got sent a lovely photo of the wonderful slopes of Mount Fuji, and all it was just a screen of fog.
And you do get a fantastic view of Fuji Speedway. We'll have some VTs in a minute to have a look around the track at the moment, and my weather updates still aren't coming through from Japan at the moment. I don't even have pictures of food, which I normally have at this point of the day.
Very disappointing.
Yeah, so clearly a little bit of slow motion at Fuji Speedway. There's a little bit of controversy at the last race, if you remember. At Okayama.
Yeah, Ronnie Quintarelli made what I thought was a fantastic start. Not only a fantastic start, but the first sort of sector of the opening lap I thought was terrific. And he received a penalty for a jump start. But looking at the onboard footage, you could argue that he was perhaps a little bit far back from the car in front of him. But he was only forced to do so because he was staying behind the car that was in 7th on the grid.
But that's just the rules. Let's have a look. I mean, we can have a look at that, and we can see what everybody else thinks about. Well, talk us through it. I mean, you've been a racer. Here we go. We're coming up for the rolling start.
So we're coming around the final corner, and the black box on the white overpass up ahead is the lights. They're red at the moment. They change to green now. Ronnie stays behind the car on his right, and he doesn't overtake. There's the start line, Sam. I think that's good.
And
it's a little messy because the Honda NSX on the front row makes a poor start, but look at this from Quintarelli round the outside there, and from the 4th row of the grid, suddenly P2, bang, right on the back of the leader. I thought that was great.
I saw nothing wrong with that, absolutely nothing wrong with that at all, and it really ruined the Nissan chances in the first round, and I don't know. I don't think that penalty was fair. I still don't. I've watched that video quite a few times, and you can watch the full race on a board. I forget where that link is actually, but if you hit like and subscribe on Nismo TV, or someone will post it up in the chat at the moment, there is a link to the full race from that car, number 23 Motul Alltech GT-R GT500, all from the start, from lights to flag, complete race, and it's fantastic to watch. But that penalty is really.
When that onboard footage appeared, I was like, I thought it was going to give us clarification on why he received a jump start. And I sort of watched it for the first time and thought, no. And then I watched it thinking, right, maybe a couple of rows jumped the start and he was just the one that caught the eye of the race director for making such a spectacular start. But no, they don't go till the lights go green. I can't see it myself.
Yeah, I don't think that.
However, the decision was made, and when a decision is made, like I know drivers, for example, that have been penalised for overtaking under a yellow flag, and they've taken the race director their onboard footage, and can you show me? He goes, no, I have an observer's report. You overtook under a yellow flag, and you can't see it on the video, you can't see it from the driver's seat, you can't see it from the onboard footage. So, yeah, a difficult one, and yeah, that did spoil the chances of the Nissan at the opening round.
Well, one thing we can have a look at looking at Okayama, having put that into the past to some degree. Let's have a look at what's happened in the last couple of days at Fuji Speedway. Here we are. This is qualifying that took place yesterday, and there's Sugio Matsuda and Ronnie Quintarelli signing some autographs. That's the full-scale car. It's much smaller than you imagine. Chio there signing, and there's the Gainer team in that new GT-R. There's a bloke from Wales. He obviously didn't get the corporate memo in the close. Oh, that's a nice fishy thing. Oh, fish heads. Fish heads.
Fish heads.
There you go. Refueling went on. The Michelin tyres, they have proven to be very strong in qualifying here at Fuji Speedway. The Michelin-shod GT-R GT500 is clearly a bit more potent than the Calsonic and the other non-Michelin-shod car. And there you go, some new sponsors appearing on cars. What you're going to see in some of the cars, there's Ronnie smiling, looking a bit awkward as well. There's the Shout crowd. Now, we've met those guys, the Nismo Supporters Club. You can see that elsewhere on Nismo TV. They're a wonderful group of people. And eventually, after people did some arty shots in wing mirrors, the cars got underway for GT300 qualifying. And that has been, as you can see on the screen, largely dominated by the Subaru BRZ, as along with some of the other mother chassis cars. The Lotus looks very competitive here at Fuji Speedway, but also the Gainer Tanax GT-R GT300, so that's the new specification Nissan GT-R GT3, looking very, very potent around here at Fuji Speedway with that very long straight as well.
Yeah, a real mix of tight corners and long straights, so difficult to get a balance between the mother chassis smaller GT300s and the FIA GT3s. But here we've got the GT500s going out for their qualifying session.
Just looking at the GT500 there, and it was clear it was going to be good for the Nissan GT-R GT500. Look at the way it was bottoming out there through those
huge downforce.
I think that's sector 2 there, yeah. Even just a bit of smoke as it was whacking onto the ground. There's Chio going for his run. He's very quick as well. Again, those Michelin tyres really working in not the less than ideal conditions at Fuji Speedway. The fog came in and that sort of started everything a little bit late, but it's Toyota's home track.
It is. Yeah, the pre-season test was dominated by the Lexus. We see a Lexus on pole position today, but yeah, looking at the onboard here through the I was just going to say through the final sector, but we've just cut back. So yeah, it's a wonderful circuit. It's going to be a great race. It's certainly going to be tight at the front, and we're going to see action in both classes.
There's that fog in the background. One of the strange things about Fuji Speedway, and everyone sort of see it, I always have to mention it. The Sylvanian Family's theme park is just around the corner, and you can actually see it from the start-finish line, which is always quite an interesting thing to see. Now, talking about that penalty in Okayama, because that is going to be a subject that goes and goes, is that Ronnie Quintarelli did accept the penalty after he'd been shown the video, because apparently he'd overtaken the 19 car before the line, but I saw cars in front overtaken before the line as well, so I just think...
I couldn't see it.
I'm not having that penalty, frankly.
And it ruined the race, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
It really did, so... Yeah, very disappointing. Hopefully we get a nice clean start in both classes today. Long front straight at the Fuji Motor Speedway, so it'll be a battle royale down into that tight right-hander at turn 1. And
then that just the scraps, because Fuji Speedway is turn 2 where you get a real... Turn 1 is a great overtaking opportunity, but once I get down to turn 2 and into those wiggly bits in the middle, which I think you've got the names of...
Yeah, so the first wiggly bit is a delicious sparkling brown sugary beverage, which I'm not sure I should mention, that rhymes with Woka-Wola. The turn 4, the 100R, and remember the R in Japanese corners is just the radius in meters, so 100R is a huge corner. You can take various positions through there. It's not just like there's a single racing line through.
It's super wide, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and super smooth and super grippy in places offline as well. So, yeah, the first sector, big sweeps, right, left, long right, then into the first hairpin at turn 6. Then going downhill towards the really tight section at the bottom of the circuit, turn 10, 11, 12, and then just finishing off with the double hairpin at nets 13, 14, 15.
And it's very that final sort of corner after that long sweep down the bottom as you go into Dunlop Corner, the uphill.
Yeah,
you go into the uphill section. It's really easy to lose a lot of time there, isn't it?
Oh, and it's so hard to gain it back because the last sector of the lap is so technical. It's easy to lose it on the way down there, but you just can't gain it back. We saw last year as well, any kind of off-track excursion down there is very, very costly because then you're running onto the front straight with cold tyres, wet tyres, whatever they might be. It's going to be damp and slippery offline, and you're going to be...
Now, how long is that start-finish straight? Because it's huge. Because you're going to lose a huge amount of time down there.
Yeah, look, it's almost a mile.
And what's that in European?
Well, the actual length is 1,475 metres.
Off the top of his head, there really is nothing to do in Cornwall, is there?
What's a mile? Is it 1,609?
I don't know.
There you go. So
I don't use obsolete measures like that.
I think a mile are obsolete measures. Morning, North America, if you're listening.
Speaking of which, Cornwall, I was mentioning Cornwall.
Many miles away.
Cornwall Nissan, I know, are tuned in. Nissan dealer somewhere in the States. Massive fans of Nismo TV. And so I've just got to give a shout out to them. So if you're anywhere near Cornwall, America,
go and buy a car.
Go and buy a car. Probably a micro if that's a thing in America. It probably isn't. I don't know. The micro is a very fine car. So also, if you like all of this, like and subscribe. Facebook, Twitter, and an Insta thingy. Instagram. All of them are at Nismo.
That's the pictures of food, isn't it?
That is the pictures of food. We haven't got any pictures of food. I need to tweet some pictures of food, which I always do.
Awesome
Super GT
food.
Yeah, Super GT food at the racetrack is absolutely fantastic if you like various forms of cooked meat, which is always very good fun. But I still haven't got it. I've got starting drivers, but I haven't got pictures of food. And Fuji Speedway is one of my favourite eating places. Looking at this, should we have a look at the last race? Because someone said, stop talking about food, let's have a look at the previous race, some more at Okayama. We did talk about it a little bit, but this is what actually happened during the race. There we are, some GTRs. And these are just highlights of Okayama. You can watch the race in full, of course, here on Nismo TV with our talking over it. And there's the Bumblebee car. That didn't have a good race, particularly at the end. And we'll talk about that as on the starting grid a little bit more. 82 laps of Okayama. The first full season race of that English bloke from not far from Cornwall. Didn't go well for him. But what we discovered was he did the entire race without changing his tyres, which is why he was so slow.
Yeah, very light on his tyres at the start. And here's the GT300 start. The Lamborghini leading there from the GT-R. Two very different FIA GT3 specification cars.
You know something we haven't had so much. You normally expect, even though this is only round 2, we haven't really had any rain yet.
No.
And Super GT, a lot of rain through the season. If you haven't watched the season of Super GT before, that's the moment we had for the Bumblebee GT-R, the GT3. Very hard hit into the wall after being rear-ended by a Honda NSX. We can see that right there. That's the Mugen car that did that, actually.
Yeah, I remember using the term harpooned, and watching that, it was a really hard hit into unprotected concrete wall. And the driver, he's sitting out this race. He'll be sitting out another couple, but he is getting better, and hopefully we'll see him back in Super GT soon.
Well, the car is fixed and is out and is running reasonably well, but I think they've had a bit of bolting it back together troubles, as you may do after you've hastily bolted back together for round 2. But they are in the race, and they will start in the race shortly. We will see that at Fuji Speedway. And the Bumblebee GT-R is back in good condition and fully operational, but with a different driver in the lineup. And there are a few different drivers on the grid because this is a 500-kilometre race. Some of the GT300 teams have adopted a 3-driver lineup. You will see some different names on the grid as well in GT500. James Rossiter is back, and that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, some of our Toyota superstars driving with an Lexus factory rotor. They're on Toyota duty at WEC at Spa this weekend, so great to have James Rossiter back. He's super aggressive, as we know, so looking forward to seeing him in action. Well,
we're going to go over to Fuji Speedway in a moment, because I know we've got the live footage of the cars on the starting grid, and we'll have a look at that. But while we're talking about the starting grid, obviously we mentioned that James Rossiter is back. He will be the English driver will be behind the wheel of the AU Toms LC500 car he actually raced last year. I think it's really good to see him back in Super GT. Not everybody in GT500 will necessarily agree with that, but he is an extremely exciting driver to watch out on track, and also extremely quick when he gets on it.
Yeah, very quick. Starting from the second row of the grid, it'll be terrific to see how he gets on. We're into weight handicapping as well at this second stage of the season, and James is sitting on the second row with the lightest car.
With 12 kilos. No weight, no ballast on it. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong line there.
Yep.
Alongside Yuhi Sekiguchi.
Well pronounced.
Yes, exactly. We've got a guide on that now, so we should be perfect on that. The other big change is in the number 39 car, the car that won a championship a few years back, alongside Heikki Kovalainen. The pronunciation of that is
Sho Suboi.
Sho Suboi. There he is in that car, taking the place of its regular driver because he is off on WEC duty as well.
Yeah, it's quality, quantity. Just because some of the drivers are away, they've been replaced by seasoned professionals, and really, really looking forward to it.
Down in GT300, the first of the free driver lineups is the car guy GT3 Honda, which is starts the race in 13th position. Yokomizo Kimura and Cozzolino. Kei Cozzolino is a name I haven't encountered before, but maybe just haven't paid attention that far down in the GT300 ranking. The Team Mac, the number 5 car, which has the best livery and the best paint shop, the painted truck in the paddock, in my opinion. There are some pictures of that on Twitter already. That's Sakaguchi, Hiraki, and Tamanaka at the wheel of that Yokohama shod car. In the number 1721, not at all works Audi, is Richard Lyons, Tomita, being joined by Takuro Shinohara on the Dunlop shod R8 there. Then in the 19th position in GT300, the Legal Frontier Lamborghini GT3 is driven by Kimi Sato, Yuji Motojima, and Tsubasa Takahashi. And they start in 19th, as I mentioned. And the brilliantly, but very quick, but surprisingly far down the grid, in 21st position is the Hoppy 86 MC. Hoppy is a kind of non-alcoholic beer thing which you mix with sochu and have a very nice time if you're that way inclined, which I am. Takumitsu Matsui, Tsubasa Kondo, and Takeshi Shuya. I can never pronounce that team very well. I need to read the pronunciation guide, but a very famous team in Super GT. They are out, so he's back on the grid in his own team. And a 500-kilometre race will divide up, touch wood, quite nicely into 3 stints. The race should be just under 3 hours in length, so those guys with 3 drivers per car will just be taking a single stint each. The EXE AMG GT3 starts 22nd position. Masaki Kano, Hideto Yasuoka, and Yuya Sakamoto. This is the first time I've read some of these names, actually.
Hideto Yasuoka is an old Formula Ford client of mine.
There you go.
He drove for John LaBelle's Medina Formula 4 team at the festival, and he came through the old BRDC single-seater championship and went back to Japan, raced in Japanese Formula 3, and has done he was the Carrera Cup champion, Carrera Cup Japan champion as well. So yeah, really good driver, Hideto. So
I've seen him race, definitely then. In the 24 Taisan R8, the Fukushima-sponsored car, Shinosuke Yamada, Shintaro Kawabata, and Shinji Nakano in that car, making it 3 drivers. And the last of the 3 driver lineups is Bumblebee itself, which we talked about. No, it's not Bumblebee, sorry. It is Mintzilla.
With Richard Bradley at the at the helm.
Richard Bradley's got into that with Taiyu Lida and Masaki Tanaka. And the production class are pointing things because we can go live to Fuji Speedway. And here we go. I think we'll be coming in. Are we going to go straight to the starting grid?
Oh, I hope so. It's my favourite.
I
say it's my favourite part. I'm a big fan of the podiums myself, but here we go.
I wonder what they'll get on the podium this time. Fuji GT, 500 kilometres of this fantastic race circuit in Oyama, just a little way south of Tokyo in the mountains. Mount Fuji there, you can just see the edge of it in the background of the shot. This is literally on Mount Fuji, and it does look like a glorious day in Japan. There is Fujisan, an active volcano, and here's the starting grid. On pole position, it's the Zensurimo LC500. Tachikawa starts that car alongside the Wacos LC500. Identical cars, but with Shima at the wheel of that. The first of the Nissans, the Motul Ortec GT-R, is in 3rd position alongside James Rossiter, starting the AU Toms LC500. That should be exciting on the first lap. Heikki Kovalainen behind him in 5th position in the Denso-sponsored car. Hideko Muto starting in 6th position, the first of the NSX GTs. Craft Sports, Katsumasa Chiyo in 7th position, alongside Yuhi Kunimoto in 8th position in the Wedsport Advan LC500. There is the keeper Tom's LC500. Reigning champions Ryo Hirakawa and Nick Cassidy start 9th position, alongside Naoki Yamamoto and Jensen Button. They're not going to be able to repeat their no-tyre strategy this time in 10th. Bertie Baguette is in 11th in the Modulo NSX GT, and the Arta NSX GT in 12th. Look, there's the Calsonic blue car. Jan Mardenborough starting that car. He's got a point to prove, starting so far down in 13th. 14th position is the Keihin NSX GT with Tsukaboshi in it, and JP Oliveira in 15th, rounding out the GT500 field. Seems smaller this time, doesn't it?
Yeah, only because you know the GT300s are going to be so
Exactly.
so complicated.
Here comes the Arta BMW, the orange BMW GT3. Sean Walkinshow not starting. Takagi starts that car. The Subaru BRZ, very strong car on the Dunlop tyres in second position, alongside the Leon AMG GT. Gamry starts that. There it is, Tatsuni Miku in fourth. Fifth position, great start for the Lotus there in fifth, as I say. Sixth position, the Cintium RCF GT3. Nearly got my cars modelled up. The first of the Toyota Priuses. Yes, I did say Prius. Seventh position, Kohei Hirati. Then the Nissan Gainer Tanax GT-R, eighth position with Hironaka starting that one. The D-Station Porsche with Tomonuji Fuji in ninth position. 10th position is Hoshino starting the other Gainer Tanax GT-R. Great position for that team. Right, both cars in top 10. 11th position, the Kenwood NSX GT3 in 11th. The Manifa Lamborghini in 12th. 13th is a car guy NSX GT3. Talked about that. Cozzolino starting that. He's a new guy in that car, I think. The Max Sayekan in 14th. That is the Team Mac number 5 Mother Chassis car. Then another Mother Chassis car alongside it in 15th. It's the Up Garage 86 alongside the run-up GT-R. 16th, that's Bumblebee for you. 17th is Richard Lyons starting the Not At All Works Audi R8. And then the K-Tunes Lexus alongside him in 18th. The Legal Frontier Lamborghini is in 19th, one of those three driver lineups. Then the Golf Porsche in 20th. The Hoppy 86, lovely pink and white livery on that, in 21st. And the EXE Lamborghini GT3, we just spoke about that on the pre-race show, in 22nd. They're not even bothered with the whole rest of the GT3 field. There are more cars than that. There's 29 in there, and there's the podium. It's Mr. Orange Jacket. Hello, Mr. Orange Jacket. He's looking quite pleased to be here, isn't he?
What's he got to say?
Hello. There you go. Said something good. Welcome to Autoback Super GT in Fuji Speedway. See, I'm reading ahead of the translation now. Hope everybody has a great race. Thank you very much. We'll see more from Mr. Orange Jacket later in the race. He is from Autobacks, the sponsor of Super GT. It's like a giant Halfords on Napa, and much better than either, I believe. Absolutely fantastic to see that team. They've got two cars on the grid and lots of fans in the grandstand. Looks a bit quiet there at the moment. That's because everybody's out there at the back buying some food.
Yeah, they're expecting 100,000 spectators over the race weekend here at Fuji. Obviously, racing on the a public holiday. They take Star Wars Day as a public holiday, as we know in Japan.
Week. It's called Golden Week. I've been to this. My first ever Super GT race was this race. God, must have been back in 2005. And the Ford GT was racing in that series back then. It's absolutely fantastic sunny day. Everybody in Japan has the week off. It's a bit like Christmas and Easter and rolled into one, and it's
brilliant.
And it's just a long holiday, Golden Week. It's a lovely time to be in Japan. We should be having a national anthem about now, but apparently not. So we will stop talking over the national anthem. Flags waving there as two red lights are on, and the police are all ready to set off. So maybe they would just skip the national anthem. I don't know what the Sega World Drivers' Championship is. Lots of other motorsport action going on in the world of Nissan. We've got Formula E. We'll talk a bit about that later in the race. There's the Blancpain Endurance Series, British GT, all sorts, even Australian supercars, and the World Endurance Championship, of course. Lots of police bikes out there, so obviously not going to have a national anthem today. Don't know why. But there you go. There go. And one of them's in orange. Two of them are in orange. Why are they in orange, do you reckon?
Split strategy.
Yeah. Let's see if they were. There's a lot of bikers out there today.
Or maybe they just didn't get the email about, boys, over the weekend, remember, it's Blue Jacket Friday. Oh, nuts, I think the first two guys.
This is 4 police cars as well. This is one of the things you see in Super GT. If this is the first Super GT race, you will always see a police escort for the start of the first formation lap. 2 formation laps here at Fuji Speedway. The first one with the policeman. The second one, maybe some police women. And the second one with the Honda NSX pace car. But this formation lap, I think this is a really cool feature of racing. Now, by talking about this, we have managed to introduce Circuit Safari in quite a lot of series now across the world. They did it at Fuji Speedway for WEC. We've seen it at Silverstone with a Routemaster bus for British GT. That was fantastic to see. Like, the next thing, I'd like to see the Northampton Police You know, do a lead out at Silverstone, or maybe Kent Police at Brands Hatch. There's a race at Brands Hatch today, isn't there? So here's a message: if you're in Kent, you work for Kent Police, go to Brands Hatch, talk to Motorsport Vision or SRO or whoever's organising that race meeting, and I would like to see, you know, some old police cars or the current police cars leading out the field on the opening lap of the race, because I think that's
many
a great
letters of complaint.
No,
haven't you got anything better to do?
It's a great road safety message.
It is, and you know, it integrates the local police force. And look, from a racing driver's perspective, it gives the guys a chance to get 2 laps of heat into their tyres. Of course, the Super GT series, no tyre warmers, so they'll have come out of the pits on stone cold slicks. And even though they were only going really slowly behind the safety car, they're accelerating and braking, getting heat into the brakes, into the wheel. That is transposed through into the carcass of the tyre. And yeah, the police will then pull off at the end of this first parade lap. They'll be replaced by our safety car or formation vehicle, and then we'll have a second lap a little bit quicker before the start.
I think, you know, I'm still thinking about police cars in different race series. I mean, just think about this, though, like police cruisers at Talladega or like Daytona or something, Dover International Raceway on Sunday, right? I want to see some police cruisers going around ahead of
Bristol.
At Bristol, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But yeah, I'm not going to get into throwing beer. It's very uncouth.
Luis Yahediel Gonzalez Salgado quite rightly remembers in the incredibly rainy Okayama race of 2015, one of these police motorcyclists fell off, and it was probably the most embarrassing moment of that policeman's career. Maybe he doesn't have a career anymore.
Look at that. That's a lovely piece of camera work, isn't it?
That is beautiful. But it's such a long straight, isn't it? Nearly 1.5 kilometres of just straight line drafting, overtaking wonderfulness.
Yeah, you can overtake and be overtaken on the same straight.
This track was originally built for NASCAR.
It was built as an oval, wasn't it?
Well, but they never finished building it. They ran out of money when they got halfway around the track. So they had a big first banks section, which was originally used for racing, and there's some absolutely hair-raising videos of cars, onboard videos of cars racing around there in the big Group 7 era, these crazy powerful sports cars. And of course it was literally lethal. People were killed on that banking.
Yeah, you look at this facility here and it looks like a wonderful modern 2 or 3 year old circuit. It was built in 1965, Sam. That's even older than me.
Nothing's old as that apart from Michael Crum. But they never managed to get the second half of the oval built, so they decided to build on and partly on the say-so of Sterling Moss of all people. They built this road course, which was heavily reworked for I think it was the 2007 or 2006 Japanese Grand Prix.
Yes,
which was held at this circuit, and that's obviously still the outright lap record around here. Though the Super Formula cars are getting quite close, as are a number of other categories. It's one of those circuits that has been re-engineered, but the re-engineering hasn't really taken much away from the spirit of the track.
No, you can look at the width of the circuit, you look at the radius of the corners. There's some lovely open corners. Here is the corner that we were talking about. This is turn 4 into the 100R, this never-ending right-hander that then comes round, pops over a little crest where the safety car is there, then into this left-hand hairpin that they're just coming into now. Brilliant overtaking opportunity. Sorry, Sam.
That's all right. Are we going to see any start line violations this time around? You're going to see 2 starts. You're going to see the GT500 cars close up and form up in a minute into a 2x2 formation, though quite a few of them don't seem to have turned up yet. And then the GT300 cars will drop right back and have their own separate starts. So we'll go to split screen mode and watch both starts at the same time, and it can be quite hectic here at Fuji Speedway. So now you can see the GT500s getting ready to form up into that 2x2 fashion. Dunsinane style, I think it's referred to if you are in 1920s English.
And the not herringbone.
No, that's staggered.
Yeah, that's staggered.
That's the end of the race.
So yeah, they'll have covered start procedure in detail in driver's briefing. They'll have reviewed the footage from the first round, and yeah, I think we're going to be looking at a start this time round. And Hopefully it'll be a clean one with no penalties, because that really upset the mix at the first race there.
Well, coming up, 500 kilometres of noise, excitement, and the finest motor racing action anywhere in the world, live here on Nismo TV. We're going to be here throughout, uninterrupted. There is that stonking long straight. Will Nismo be victorious? We'll find out after 500 kilometres. There he is, grid. Now, are we going to get a second? Yeah, okay. We're gonna stop and have an organised grid, are we? No.
So in past the grid board,
there we go,
into the 2x2 formation.
Make sure nobody does anything naughty. Those guys are brave to be stood there with the GT300s coming. And the Zensurumo car is looking a little bit far ahead. That's not a very organised 2x2. And Deanne Mardenborough out of position there at the back as well. The lights, the red lights are on though. It looks like we're going to get the start. Thumbs up from the starter, and the lights will go out, and we will be racing for 500 kilometres. The GT300 field is just starting the start-finish straight now, and the lights are still on. It's a very long hold here.
It's a very long straight.
The revs are going up, I can hear them. We've still got red lights and green now. We are racing at Fuji Speedway. And it looks like a particularly good start for Zensurumo, the Wacos car there, but there is the Motul Ortec car. He's already got the toe, one of the Hondas there, and he's going to move up to second, is he? Yes, very easy. Candy from a baby, that one.
No drama through there at turn 1.
And that is the Motul Ortec GT-R now challenging for the lead position, third position. A lot of cold tyres, that's why the cars are darting around so much. Here is GT300. I'll keep an eye on that. Rob, you watch GT500, because there is a battle for the lead right now.
Yeah, they're coming through that long 100R, and yeah, the Motul Ortec car looking very racy there in second position.
Hatsune Miku trying to get up to third position in GT300, and a huge gaggle of cars scrapping it out for the lower positions of the top 10 there. Hatsune Miku still side by side with the Leon Mercedes AMG, identical in all ways, apart from maybe the headlights and endurance package.
Quintarelli round the outside for the lead, coming into turn 13.
Well, that was a brave move there in GT500. Nissan leads, but back in GT300 there is just a huge pack of cars. The Sean Walkinshaw driven Arta BMW leads, but that Subaru is right on his tail. But it looks like a fantastic scrap for the lead, and he's gone wide.
Oh.
The Zensurumo's gone wide.
Yeah,
well, that's the Wacos car around the outside of the just taking the... Well, is he though? He's being pushed wide by Zensurumo, and Zensurumo coming in the pits. He went very wide to the inside.
I was just thinking that's exactly what we spoke about pre-show. If you make a mistake at that final sector, you run offline. He's got a little bit of dirt on his tyres, and it's really cost him. So he's gone from leading on the opening lap. He's going to lose another place here to the Wacos car on our right, I think.
Oh, look at the battle just on. We saw it in the background. Very tight battle at the top. Rossiter doing his normal thing, working his way through, but he's opened the door for... No, he's not. He's slammed it shut
That's
on
Heikki
the Denso guy,
Kovalainen.
and that is pure James Rossiter racing. This is why some of the guys were a little bit unhappy with James last season, but he's back and he's got a point. He's got it between the teeth, and he's proving himself here. If it wasn't for that number 16 Motul sponsored Honda, it would be one Nissan versus the Toyota Horde.
And look, who's conspicuous by his absence? Ronnie Quintarelli. He's checked out at the front of the field. All the Lexi battling, one Lexus, many Lexus, all the Lexus battling together behind has really allowed him to just put some clean air between him and the field, which is what you need here at Fuji, with that front straight being almost, as you said, 1.5 kilometres long. But great start from Quintarelli, really aggressive, took the position for the race lead round the outside at this corner that we're looking at now, and yeah, amazing, really good.
The Michelin tyre seems to have come straight in for the Motul Ortec GT-R, and if that's the case, keep your eye out for the other Michelin shod Nissan GT-R, and that will be working its way through the field. There he is. Is that the BMAX engineering car? Or is that the Forum Engineering? I can't quite make out. White Nissans, that's the BMAX engineering car there. Tucked in with the Arta NSX behind him, and following the Raybrigg NSX, which is making a move on the keeper Tom's LC500. The left side don't seem to be making this work. He's tried that a couple of times now, and it's not working there.
now. The weight handicap.
Oh, it has worked this time.
The weight handicap really coming into play as the drivers drag that success ballast through and out onto the huge long front straight. And drivers still running side by side as they run down through the left-hander there at Coca-Cola corner into turn 4, then into the 100R.
News from RJ O'Connell of SuperGT World, the fine website which we are very good friends of here at Nismo TV. The Bumblebee Nissan GT-R, the 360 Sports run-up car, has not started the race, so it has not left its garage yet, so maybe some more problems from that as we expected. It did take part in qualifying, so we're just not quite sure what the issue there is, and the 777 car it is still in the pits, or has come back to the pits. So some GT300 dramas for some teams, but right now it's all about this number 23 Nissan MOtorsports GT-R, which is just, as you say, look at that, 2 seconds now gap to the rest of the field.
Fastest last lap round as well. He's pushing really hard and looks really clean as well. Everything looks just really nicely under control there as we look at our GT300 leader, the Arta BMW M6, which also, look, massive clean air behind him and between him and the Subaru BRZ.
A lot of people talking about the sparks coming off the cars. You're going to be seeing a lot of that as the tyres go down and as the pressures change throughout the race. If we get a safety car, you see loads of that. Questions coming up. Where's Chio-san running in the number 23? He's up in he's in the middle of the fight in GT500. It is the GT500. James Rossiter there at the wheel of the orange and white LC500 Lexus, battling with, I can't remember if it was Heikki Kovalainen. There he is. Here, look, producer is listening. Thank you. And you've got these two Lexi battling, but there's a Wacos car on the tail of them as well. They've got, for them, this is an honour match here at Fuji Speedway, home circuit of Toyota. These cars are engineered not all that far away in Yokohama, where TRD are based, as are Nismo, also in Yokohama. Different part of town, but they are both in Yokohama.
It's like the Japanese version of Brackley or Indianapolis, where all the automotive expertise is based.
It's also got a nice harbour and a big Ferris wheel.
There we go. I know how you like big wheels. I'm looking forward now as they come through the final sector. This is going to be a Lexus drag race down to turn 1. Kovalainen, Rossiter, Oshima. Here we go.
It is great to see James Rossiter back in Super GT, standing in as a substitute because both Nakajima and Kobayashi are at Spa on World Endurance Championship duty. But look at the gap there, the Zensurumo car and the Motor Auto. Now is the Zensurumo beginning to close up? Bit of brake dust there off at the end of the straight, not so surprising, but a bit more of the Zensurumo than perhaps some of the other cars.
Yeah, the brakes being worked particularly hard here. The car's still got a lot of fuel on board, so the car is at its heaviest and coming down from almost 200 miles an hour, to use my imperial measurement, or 300 kilometers an hour into turn 1. Very tight first corner here at Fuji.
That's quick. Now, something else you need to be quick about. If you are watching us on Facebook Live, do something right now. Go into your browser, type in live.nismo.tv, press enter or send or whatever magic button you use, and join us over on YouTube, because we're going off air on Facebook just in a moment, but come and join us on YouTube for the full race. So make sure you do that if you're watching on Facebook.
3 abreast in GT300.
That doesn't always end well. His light's not working there on the NSX.
D-Station Porsche team doing really well at the moment, winning races wherever they go in other series, and
it's quite wild, that car. That's the Modulo NSX, and that's the car that obviously assaulted the GT-R at the last race, rather rudely.
It's quite a nice looking livery. It's got a whiff of retro about the livery as well.
It just doesn't quite look finished to me, that one. It just looks like it may be missing some stickers or something. It's like the livery before they put the stickers on.
Yes, I know what you mean.
But it also reminds me a little bit of the Artegaria, the old GT300 car. Now, that car is actually at Fuji Speedway. It is on display in the paddock, and it is still in running condition. I'd love to see that back out, as it would be the CRZ, which is the old Honda GT300 car. Now, there are 2 classes in Super GT, which we normally discuss at length, and I'm going to. There's GT500, which is the all-works car. All 2-litre turbocharged inline 4 cylinders in a GT500 car. Carbon fibre monocoque chassis shared with the DTM Championship, as are the aerodynamic regulations, suspension regulations, transmissions, many other systems on that car. And there is unification coming between those two championships, with a joint race announced for next season, most likely.
I was over in Faltenbach at the AMG headquarters and had a really good look around one of those carbon monocoque chassis, and they're just a beautiful piece of engineering. As we see two abreast on the front straight, and that Honda does have a straight line advantage over the Porsche. I know he got the benefit of the toe, but here we go into turn one. They're almost side by side there again, Sam.
It's a great battle to watch. Now, GT300, what you're watching now is a battle of two GT3 cars, but it's not just FIA GT3 specification cars in GT300. There are two other subgroups. There is Mother Chassis, which you'll see there, and that's the Toyota GT86, the Toyota Mark X, and of course the rather wonderful Lotus Evora. Now, they all use the identical carbon fibre monocoque chassis. They all share their carbon fibre monocoque chassis. They all have a very familiar looking 4.5-litre V8 normally aspirated engine. The Lotus has it in the back, the other two cars have it in the front. And then we have this, the Toyota Prius. This is a JAF GT300, JAF GT300. This is a real road car that has just been modified beyond real recognition. The engine has been taken out of the front. An LMP1 Toyota engine has been put in the back. It still has its hybrid system. The hybrid system on this car comes from the Toyota Camry, and it is the production car hybrid system.
But the 1.8-litre four-cylinder Atkinson cycle petrol engine that you'd find in the road car is long gone.
No, I think it's a 3.5-litre normally aspirated LMP1 V8 in the back of that Prius. There's two of those Prii out there. And also meeting those same technical regulations is the Subaru BRZ. There it is. That is fitted with a derivative of the old World Rally Championship engine. That's the Flat 4 Boxer EJ20. Very nice engine in that car. And that again uses the production car chassis. Great overtaking action going on down the start-finish line between those two cars still. And Ronnie Quintarelli, Rajay Connell has just pointed out, has set the fastest lap with a 1:30.8.
The Stefan Rattel organisation, the SRO, doing the balance of performance in GT300, and does a great job as we see our first view this weekend of the wonky sticker Audi.
That just needs to have a crash.
And going back to the GT500 action, we can see the Hondas there making their way through the traffic. If you're watching Super GT for the first time, white lights, GT500s, yellow lights, GT300s.
And just what we hadn't spotted is that GT500s have got into the GT300 traffic, and that almost always spells overtaking action and some sort of chaos.
Particularly through the final sector. Sorry, I talked over you.
That's all right.
Just through the final sector, you've got to time when you catch these little clumps, these little packs of GT300 cars that are still battling position.
And look at that. That's the effect. That's the battle for the lead right there. The Zensarumo is right on the tail of the Motorlortec GT-R, and that is because Quintarelli seems to have got held up by that Lamborghini quite terribly. And look at that, lost from a 2.1 second gap to nothing. Yeah. That's the effect of traffic.
Yeah, the traffic, particularly at the final sector. These corners from 12 through to 16 are almost back to back. There's hardly any overtaking opportunity. And if you get trapped behind a wide GT300, and you've got to look at the back of the Lamborghini there, the rear vision is difficult. The cars run a rear-facing camera, a little screen, but you know, through that final sector, you're quite busy as a driver, and very costly for Quintarelli. He's now got to pick his way carefully through the remaining. Look, there's hundreds of them. Pick his way through the traffic ahead of him as cleanly as he can, and get his head down, get back into that fastest lap rhythm that he was setting before.
I mean, that's the thing. He went from fastest lap to having complete battle with the Zensarumo. I mean, he just one moment. That's how quickly the action changes here in Super GT. And that Zensarumo car must realise he's got to get in front of the Motorlortec GT-R to have any chance of being competitive in the opening phase of this race, and that's why he is racing so hard against Ronnie Quintarelli. But the Gainer Tanak's car not making life too easy for the Lexus there, and that was very nearly contact between 500 and 300.
Quintarelli looking around the outside of the Lamborghini there, makes his way through. The Zensarumo car looking particularly racy as they come down the bottom of the hill into turn 10.
Now, if you're unable to watch this race all the way through live, change your plans. But if you can't change your plans, and it's a very important situation, it means you can't watch it live, all of these races are available permanently here on YouTube, so you don't have to, well, it's available on demand after the race, so we'll be instantly uploading the full race after the race. So there you go. That answers the question that Vincio, or I didn't see your name actually, but it came up. But there you go.
What could possibly be more important than watching this? Apart from childbirth, what could be possibly more important than this?
Well, a little fact: when my daughter was born, I was actually reading a copy of Super GT magazine.
Oh yeah, and sorry, we're watching this thinking it's a bank holiday when actually there are some people that have to go to work in Europe. How inconvenient!
In Japan, you can read magazines like this about Super GT every week, but it is a holiday week in Japan. It's Golden Week, and that is why we are racing on Friday, or if you're in America, Thursday. But this is why we're racing on Friday. It's a big holiday week in Japan, and traditionally this long-distance Fuji Speedway race is held in Golden Week. If you are going to go to a Super GT race at any time in your life, and I recommend everybody watching this does do it, and this is probably the best race for a foreigner to come to. Fuji Speedway is very easy to get to with this fantastic battle to the lead. It's a great place to spectate, and Golden Week is a lovely time to be in Japan.
This is worst case scenario here for Quintarelli. He's come across a pair of battling GT300s at that final sector. Oh, Heikki Kovalainen looking up the inside of his teammate.
Yeah, but look behind, there's James Rossiter. So this is total James Rossiter territory. Traffic difficulties, super aggressive. There you go, straight up the inside, and he's got Heikki Kovalainen, has he? He's going to push him out wide, but he's pushing right off the track. He's going to hold on. There are going to be some conversations. Everybody's remembered what Rossiter is like, and they know that he's one of the most aggressive drivers in the field, if not the most aggressive. He's got the toe on Kovalainen. Will he get a shared toe off the Zensurumo? There is the Lotus Evora. We've hardly seen it. They're just dragging each other along this 1.4 kilometre straight. Who is going to get into the first corner first? The Lotus is staying well out of this. It's just a train of cars. He was nearly bump drafting there. Trying it around the outside, that's not going to work, James, and you've got to watch your rear view because there is the Wacos car. Are you going to get a better run out of turn one? Not quite, but he's got the toe again down into the next section. Wow.
Yeah, wow, this is just nose to tail. Wherever you look, there's a battle between first and second, third, fourth, fifth. They're all together. And the traffic coming into play, even with the width of Fuji, it just leads to such tight overtaking and lapping manoeuvres between the cars.
Well, RJ O'Connell says if you think James Rossiter is aggressive, wait till Sekiguchi gets in the car. I think you're wrong there, RJ. Rossiter has been out of this for a few races now, or a couple of races. He hasn't got a full-time drive in Super GT this season. One of the reasons was it was felt he might have been a little bit too aggressive at points last year. There's some fantastic action you can watch here on Nismo TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave all your comments, but we're getting a lovely amount of comments coming in at the moment anyway. And there's contact there, was it, between Hatsune Miku in the number 4 Mercedes and the 39 Lexus, who has gone super defensive, but we are now getting a stock car-like train of cars down the start-finish lane here at Fuji Speedway. Jan de Frin says he has to leave for school in 1 hour. Should he change your plans? Yes, Jan. This is a real education in great racing.
And looking at how you type that message on, I think maybe a chest infection might be coming on, or a high temperature.
Exactly.
Says Dr. Rob.
There's train cancellations or something, probably. Traffic.
Kovalainen around the outside of the BRZ there.
Second position GT300 by just over 5 seconds to the leader, so the BMW really has checked out in that category. There is the Subaru BRZ. Quite hard to tell it apart from the GT500. It's slightly smaller, and he's got his left indicating there to open the door. That was mindful driving there.
Yeah, the indicators on some of the cars are located really conveniently just on the kind of T-piece of the wheel where the driver's thumbs are. So the first thing you can reach for is your indicator. And you know, the GT300 cars are keen to lose as little time as possible. And if they can show the 500s which side they'd like to be overtaken on, it's helpful for both.
ES Fitness Savage asks on the YouTube chat, are all of these races live on YouTube here on Nismo TV? yes is the answer. You can go back and have a look at since 2014.
Oh,
I should know. I was there. I should know. I've called all but a couple of these races, but I can't remember. There's a few years worth of racing action you can watch live and in full, or as live on Nismo TV. So hit subscribe there. Here's Fitness Savage and tune in.
I'm always really pleased to get messages like that, like, oh, I've just stumbled across this racing on YouTube. It's incredible. And it's like, yes, it is. Look at this. There's a field of like 50 incredible GT cars. These GT500s, they're going around the Fuji in the speed of almost a Formula One car. They're so quick. Racing with FIA GT3s, it's just quality, it's quantity. And imagine just stumbling across a racing series like this that you'd never seen before. You're like, oh, this is quite impressive. That guy Bertie Baguette, he's won Le Mans. He's quite handy.
It was like the first time I played Gran Turismo. One of the things about this racing series is that it first came to real common knowledge in the West because of the computer games Gran Turismo.
Yes.
And the GT Academy has actually seen one of the drivers, a couple of drivers go from playing computer games into this championship. Jan Mardenbrouwer being the most famous example of that.
Yeah. He's a GT Academy legend now, Jan Mardenbrouwer. The GT Academy has produced lots of great drivers who are still out there competing today. You know, Florian Strauss racing a GT-R in Blancpain Asia, for example.
Other routes into SuperGT have included Formula One. Heikki Kovalainen, Kamiya Kobayashi, Yuji Ide.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, that Benson Jutton chap.
Well, and Heikki Kovalainen. Please don't stop me on that. Oh, here we go. Speaking of Jenson Button, he drives a Honda, and this is Bertrand Baguette in the Epson Honda there. He's having to defend down the inside, and the Lexus is very late on his brakes. Yeah, round he goes. So that was Bertrand Baguette down a position.
And for those of you who are so inclined, I've never fully understood this myself, you can switch to the studio cam. There is a little button down on YouTube that lets you switch between camera angles between studio cam and the race action. Personally, I'd have it on the race action all the way, but if you like studio cam, you can see us sitting here talking about what you can see on the other camera. Though occasionally we do hold silly things up to the camera and you can see Rob, and you can see a copy of the latest edition of Autosport magazine. That's Autosport Japan, and that has a fantastic technical overview of the Nissan GT-R GT500 and some of the mother chassis cars, which in my world is just frankly awesome.
What's a collective noun for a group of Honda?
Hondas.
It's a trio of Hondas, but trio doesn't quite do it justice. This is like a small three-car Honda train coming through the final sector.
A crash of Hondas?
Potentially, let's see. So the Arta car in the middle there, the team car of the leading BMW M6, the teammate car of the leading BMW M6. Bertrand Baguette in the white car. I think he might be struggling with a little bit of straight line speed, maybe running just a little bit more wing perhaps, because he's having to defend hard every time on the front straight.
And in case you're wondering about the copyright of that magazine, it doesn't really matter because I work with them. That is a fantastic Honda battle going on.
So Bertrand Baguette loses 2 places on 2 consecutive laps, and is that the Raybrigg car behind it?
That is the Raybrigg car. That is the car that you will later in the race see the guy from the West Country, and not Rob Barff, the other one.
James Rossiter?
No.
Is
he from the West Country?
Well, no,
I thought he was a bit Berkshire.
Yeah, he's just mates with the guy from the West Country. There we go.
And he's already in that orange and white Lexus LC500. As the race has reached one of its sort of, not lulls, because there's a massive battle. There goes the Raybrigg up the inside of the Epson. That was quite an easy manoeuvre, and I think he'll have the... there are team orders amongst some of the GT500 manufacturer teams, such as this, and that could have been a strategic one to keep the Red Bull Lexus of Nick Cassidy.
So
it's not Cassidy at the wheel, is it? But the
just looking at the way Bertie Baguette was going backwards there, on losing 3 places on within a couple of laps. He's the only Honda in the field, the only GT500 car in the field on Dunlop rubber, Sam. So maybe the Dunlops are just starting to go away a little bit before the other tyre manufacturers' cars. That could be a reason.
It is a tyre war championship here in Super GT. Yeah, there you go. The Epson is being now passed. So that wasn't Team Elders, you're right. The Epson is fading as the Red Bull Lexus passes, or tries to pass, doesn't quite get it done this time. Moves to try and get on get the drive out of the corner.
Bridgestone's on the Lexus there as we look at it, as he makes the move, and yeah, I think the Dunlops on the Honda might be struggling there.
And there's Jan Mardenborough coming up behind him. Muted race from Jan.
Yeah, conspicuous by his absence.
Yeah, Jan usually one of the real fast drivers. The Lotus headlights aren't working, that annoys me.
It's it's so easy to identify the cars on that long front shot when they've got either yellow lights on for GT300 or white for GT500s, and two cars there, the Lotus in the head of that trio and the NSX at the back there, both with their lights off, unfortunately.
Now that Lotus Evora you can see just sitting in front of the Mercedes and Honda. That Lotus Evora has a carbon fibre monocoque chassis, 4.5 litre V8 normally aspirated engine mounted in the back, and is basically, I think the only thing that comes from Heffel on that car is the badge and maybe the headlight cluster, or tail light cluster rather. The headlights are bespoke.
So here's the battle for second overall. Another pair of Lexus heading down into turn one. Kovalainen looks to the inside, and it's just going to be a battle of who brakes latest. Here
Where's
we go.
the AU car gone? Easy.
Kovalainen round and through, and as you say, Sam, where is James Rossiter? He should be there in the back of our shot, and he isn't. So something has happened to James that's cost him a little bit of time. He's lost 1.5, coming up to 2 seconds.
Yeah, so is that tyres? This is, as I was saying, this is a tyre war championship. There are 5 different tyre manufacturers represented. 4.
Yokohama, Bridgestone, Dunlop, Michelin. 4.
Waits for RJ O'Connell to correct. And we've seen a change of position there in GT300. That Leon Mercedes has worked its way past the Lotus, which now appears to be fading. Now, this Lotus Evora is very gentle on its tyres, and it can go very long, and even perhaps one fewer pit stop than the other cars. And the tow it's created nearly gave the Honda the run on the Leon Mercedes. He's just drafted back past the Leon Mercedes. The Honda's got up the inside of both of them, and oh wait, what?
It was a replay.
No, I think we just cut from live to not live. Oh, this is the replay. I'm really confused now.
I know this one's a replay because it's got replay written in the top.
There you go.
So I think this might be live.
Yes, this is live.
There we go.
Yeah, there we are.
Welcome back, everybody. The Mercedes leaves a big hole in the air, and those are 2 slippery little cars behind him. So yeah, the Mercedes nimble through the medium speed corners, maybe a little bit cumbersome through the really slow stuff.
I was about to say, is that Toyota Mark X going very slowly? What I should say is that Toyota Mark X going slower than normal.
It's very, 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 very slow, yes.
Yeah, I think the Toyota Mark X may have some trouble. That's the other mother chassis car. We only just saw it in out of focus cam. So that is another one of those 4.5 litre V8 engined mother chassis cars, based loosely on a saloon car model, only available from the Saitama Toyopet dealership chains. And that's trouble. That's trouble there for Takagi, is it? It is. That was a very slow-looking BMW, and there's a very slow-looking Lexus there. There's a lot of cars in trouble. There's the Saitama Toyopet. There's the Mark X car that I talked about, and that is trouble for the Wedsport LC500 as well. He's got a tyre's gone down. Or the wheels off or a tyre's gone down. He's still overtaking GT300 cars, but look at the way the front of the car's moving. There's something on the right rear of that car.
Left rear puncture. Yeah, left rear puncture for the Wedsport car, so the team will be desperately...
I think there's problems with the BMW in the lead of GT300 as well.
He did look slow, didn't he?
He wasn't using the full width of the track, and that's always a telltale. Oh, the 19 car's desperately trying to get back to the pits as fast as possible, but if that tyre lets go, boom, the bodywork's gone.
Yeah, he's just got the final couple of corners to go, so the team will be preparing a new left rear tyre. They'll change probably a pair of rear tyres.
Oh, they'll probably do all four and driver change at this point, 20 laps in. It's
Yes.
a little early, but you can see the tyre degradation's beginning to kick in. A few new sponsors on the back of that Motorsport car, I think. He's made it back to the pits, but the tyres now... the tyres coming apart now. And that is the Raybrigg. So there is Jenson Button getting in for his second race of the season. It is round 2, of course, and his third ever Super GT race.
I'm looking at the tyres and definitely doing a full service. So driver change and refueling. There's the Zent Sarumo car doing a full service as well, so taking tyres as well. The lesser spotted RCF in the background, also in pit road. So as soon as the fuel man pulls out, they'll be changing the front tyres on the Raybrigg NSX. Any second now.
I don't think this team... I was thinking, this team, now with the first third of the race completed, will this team have the opportunity to double stint its tyres like it did for the first 250-kilometre race?
And they've definitely got the ability to double stint the driver as well. Jenson Button, one of the fittest guys in global motorsport. There was talk when he retired from Formula One that he was going to go and do the World Triathlon Championship. He's an elite-level athlete fitness, so he's certainly up for 2 hours of work this afternoon around Fuji.
The Benson Jutton is trending again. Whee! So Benson Jutton is absolutely on it.
This could be a brilliant strategy from them. It really could. That having the ability, we know they can double stint tyres, we know they can double stint drivers. One to keep an eye out. Heikki Kovalainen in, handing over to his teammate as we look back to the battling BRZ and Prius in GT300.
This is for position. I'm not sure what the position is because it's all on pit stop cycles, but these are the two JAF GT300 mother chassis. Believe it or not, that is a Toyota Prius and that is a Subaru BRZ, and these are both built up from production cars. There's not much production car left afterwards, but they are both built up from production cars.
I tip my cap at those engineers to see the pace that they can achieve from a car based on a production car is fantastic.
Race Car Engineering magazine has done in-depth technical analysis of both of those cars. I know because I wrote them. And there are the two race leaders in GT500 coming out of the pits. But look at the top of the screen. Will you see? There's the Prius and BRZ and the GT300 front runners. But where are the rest of the GT500 front runners? This is crucial. The Forum Engineering GT-R is currently leading the race, but he hasn't stopped yet. So that's a little bit artificial as it stands. Second position in reality is still the Motor Lawtech GT-R. Just behind this number 39, who Lexus seems to have got a bit of an advantage on the pit stops there over Sugio Matsuda, but we know the Michelin tyre comes in quicker, and wheel-to-wheel the Raybrigg and the Arta Autobacks NSX. Just good news there, we didn't spot it with a 360 Sports run-up GT-R Bumblebee. There it is, out on track, so whatever their early problems are, they've resolved them and got on course.
Mr. Orange Jacket will be pleased.
Electrifying stuff, this, isn't it?
Still, Mr. Orange Jacket still leading GT300.
Yeah, he'll be happy. But this is fantastic. I mean, this sort of racing is wonderful. And we were talking about the Prius, a hybrid racing amongst these just aerodynamic masterpieces with fantastic engine. And we'll talk about some of the engine technology as well. I mean, really innovative stuff, really exciting innovation, and that's one of the things that Nissan's really into, and that's why Nissan's doing Formula E starting later this year with the brand new Generation 2, they call it, I think it's car, but actually it's Generation 3 because everyone forgot about the first ever Formula E car that never raced, built by Gould.
Really, really good looking car, this second or third generation, the latest incarnation of Formula E, which will be racing next year. Much better looking car, and it's the way things are heading. You know, we've been talking about efficiency for years. I've always been impressed with 600 plus horsepower out of a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine myself, but you know, it's the way global transportation solutions are heading towards. Everybody's talking about efficiency, and Formula E a testing ground for those new technologies.
And that new Formula E cars is pretty quick. And Nissan's got a really long history in electric cars, going back to the foundation of the country before Nissan was even a thing, when it was still a Tama automobile company. Tama, the same area that Japan's first ever race circuit was built. And Nissan won, I think, the second ever race there. There's the battle for third position now, with the Zensurumo finally catching up onto the back of the Motul Ortec GT-R. Matsuda and Ishiura at the wheel of those now. And
I think Matsuda has just taken his time to get the tyres up to temperature, whether it's a car issue, whether it's the tyre manufacturer issue, but the Lexus just seemed to hit the ground running just a little bit quicker, and Tsuboi, you can see him running ahead there in the Lexus, has pulled out probably a second and a half just on his outlap. So Matsuda really needs to get into a nice groove here, nice confidence-inspiring groove, and make sure that he doesn't lose any places. Those Lexuses behind are looking very racy. Sorry.
Well,
one Lexus, many Lexus.
Lexi. It's Lexi. Alan Partridge says so.
I know.
If you don't know who Alan Partridge is, he's a very famous English television presenter who is an expert in all things.
If you haven't seen Alan Partridge, use YouTube. Perhaps not now, at another time. Just put Alan Partridge into Alan Partridge's greatest hits. I think will be 15 minutes of your life very well spent.
Aha! Here comes the AU Tom's car, and it is indeed very aggressive. Sekiguchi, as RJ O'Connell of Super GT World predicted, is all over the tail of Ishiuro. Who is that helping? That's helping Sugiya Matsuda in the Motul Ortec GT-R. And you're right, you know, RJ did call this quite right, isn't it? That is super aggressive driving, and they're going to touch, are they? Nobody's running right so wide. Wow, that's not friendly, is it?
That's cost both of them, to be fair, though. But it was exactly what Matsuda needed. It's brought him a little bit of clean air. He can now just think about getting his head down and catching the Lexus ahead. But yes, really aggressive stuff from Sekiguchi there, sporting a bleached short cropped hairstyle.
Yeah, I mean the drivers in some of these cars, particularly the Lexi teammates, need to be a bit careful, because they get fined if they hit someone who's from the same manufacturer. So they do have to be a bit careful.
GT300 leader makes his pit stop, Sam.
Yeah, that's the 55 guy, and that will be for Sean Walkinshaw to get into it, as that's Hatsune Miku battles with the almost identical Leon AMG GT.
I love the way you're just saying Sean Walkinshaw now, completely normally.
Yep.
The Japanese translation of Walkinshaw, when you translate it on our official documentation that we have access to here, comes up with Walkinshaw. So, again, if you're watching Super GT for the first time, Sean Walkinshaw, the son of the great Tom Walkinshaw, the legendary team owner, but to the friends of Nismo TV, Sean Walkinshaw, there he is, helping his teammate in the car.
And Sean has been...
Hang on a minute, I think that's
Sean Walkinshaw.
No, that's not Sean's helmet.
No, that's Takagi.
So
getting out. And Sean getting in.
Okay, so the captions are wrong and the starting driver list was wrong.
I didn't think Walkinshaw was in that car at the start of the race. Yeah, I think this is Walkinshaw in it now.
Brilliant. Okay, so...
Austin Wilson asked, is Nismo TV the only one streaming this event? Yes, absolutely, Austin, we are. Nismo TV has been showing Super GT since, I think, 2014. I can't actually remember, and I haven't bothered checking. But I was here, so I should remember. I just don't. It is a fantastic thing that Nismo has brought this racing to the world, because it's now becoming, I think it's one of the fastest growing racing series in terms of views.
Oh, and you can see why. So if you are watching Super GT for the first time, if you are loving this inter-Lexus battle, and who wouldn't be, please click like, please click subscribe. Tell your nan to watch.
Yeah.
You know, she'd love it. She'd love it.
Everybody is just be watching this. I mean, this is just pure motor racing. It is wonderful, and when you're actually at the track, you know, the thing about Super GT is when you're in the paddock, there's something leaking out the back of the
could be fuel. Yeah, it'll be fuel. It'll just be coming out of an overflow.
Okay. Yeah, I know he's building up to speed because he's just come out of the pits on cold tyres, but it looks particularly slow. Could be wrong there. Right now, Hatsune
Yeah.
Miku leads GT300.
He's disappeared a little quickly from the
Yeah.
back of the shot. Now, was it something leaking or was it a bit of tyre on bodywork? We'll have to wait and see. He's still got his lights on, he's still pushing, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, someone who's definitely pushing there is Ishihara, getting a little bit sideways. That's not going to keep your tyres alive for this stint.
No, Matsuda's made good his escape from the front of these two Lexi.
But we saw that before, that Michelin's come in, he disappears, scalpers off down the road.
And then comes back
Comes
a smidge,
back, yeah. And I could see, I would be, all over the road there is Sekiguchi right off the track, all four wheels off on the exit of that corner. That could help him down the straight, but he could have lost a bit of traction out of the corner as well. It is, there's the toe is being done. Ishihara is in the toe, but I don't think close enough to make the move. He's going to have a try. Oh, he's made it.
Send it.
Well,
Yep.
a little bit of a lock-up as well. Will he get the cut back? Yes, he will.
All four wheels off. He would have had to give up the position anyway, I think, there. But, yeah. It's Ray Brigg, NSX, and the keeper Toms.
That's Jenson Button and Nick Cassidy going wheel to wheel. The Kiwi versus the West Country man, and the Kiwi wins. Big switch for Jenson Button coming out of McLaren Formula 1, and he chose to come and race in Super GT. He'd seen the action on Nismo TV and thought it looked great and decided to get involved.
And, you know, you can't blame him. He was only human in the pits. The Good Smile AMG.
And if you fit, and our producer's giggling, saying, "How can you know that's true?" Because he put it on Instagram, which apparently is an online electronic photo thing.
For predominantly pictures of noodles.
Oh right. Well, there you go.
Or just other food items are available. You got me thinking earlier about Suzuka. I know a particularly good udon noodle place at Suzuka.
I'll have to get that.
I'll have to take you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There we go.
There
Sorry,
we go.
we'll have to have a team outing for udon.
Absolutely. Well, in GT300, as you see, Hatsune Miku is in the pits because she needed to get some new rubber. The leader of that category is, as I predicted now, the Lotus, which we know can run absolutely monster-long stints.
Yeah,
We've seen that since that car was introduced. It can run very, very late.
Amazing efficiency.
Its second driver is not as good as the first.
But he will only be getting one bite of the cherry, the slightly slower driver. You would expect the quicker guy to be getting back in towards the end of the race.
The Lotus is designed and engineered by Mooncraft, Takuya Ura's company, which is in Saitama, I think. I've been there, I just can't remember where it was. There's Miku leaving the pit lane and being passed by the Prius, one of the two Prii. Can't quite tell if that's the 30 or the 31. Can't quite see the number.
Very difficult to identify, aren't they?
The paint job gives away it's a sort of worked car. There is the AU Toms LC500 ahead of the Zent. That battle is still going on, and the Audi just getting in the way of them there.
At least his sticker's straight on the Audi.
Now, if you are a team boss, would you get on the radio to one of these two drivers to calm them down a little bit at the moment? Because they are in danger of running into each other, and you don't want a Red Bull situation, do you?
No, that was Christian Horner, again using the gift of hindsight, just let that go too far at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Two teammates can operate very, very efficiently working as a pair. I was racing a GT car at Sebring and Le Mans, and I remember the two Bentleys, the LMP 900 cars as they worked there, as they were back then, they worked as a pair. And from a GT driver's perspective, I only saw one Bentley, and then two came past, nose to tail, just working incredibly efficiently through the traffic. And this is what those two Lexi could be doing instead of scrapping and letting Matsuda make good his escape.
It's important to point out they're not teammates, but they are all works cars. So Lexus or Toyota are in charge of all of their teams.
And this is Toyota's home track.
Exactly.
All their employees will have been given a ticket. They'll have brought their wife, their family, someone else's wife. And they'll be in the Grand... Hopefully not all together. But, you know, they'll be wanting a strong showing. And by having this inter-team squabble, they are just letting the Nissan escape.
The sim guy asks, is there a rule on how many laps a driver can do before they have to do a change? Yeah, till the fuel runs out. That's usually a rule of thumb.
Normally, the time a driver can do is restricted in terms of rest time. So a driver has to rest for a certain percentage of time. Within Blancpain, for example, you have to rest for 75% of what you've just done before you can then get back in the car.
I summon our technical rules expert, well, not our rules expert, sporting rules expert, RJ O'Connell on that one. RJ, what is the driving regulation times here at the 500 kilometres race? I don't think there is one. I think you do have to do a driver change, but you don't have the minimum amount. Little ribbon on the sleeve of Sakiya-san, the Formula Le Mans winner, just denotes that he's allowed to go on the pit wall. It's a wonderful sort of backwards thing that you have to wear these little safety pinned on ribbons on your sleeve to say you can go on the pit wall. No armbands or anything like that. It's just a little ribbon that flutters away in the wind. We look at these cars heading down the start-finish line here at Fuji Speedway. 46 laps complete. And Super Satanic Saint says he told his Nan to smash that like button. She didn't understand me. Do it for her.
That's because you said the word button, not the word jutton. Tell her to smash the like jutton and she'd be right in there. And give you a fist bump as well.
Nitro Nixus asks, is Super GT series only in Japan? No, it goes to Thailand once a year as well. It used to go to Malaysia, and there are plans for international growth for the championship. It has gone to California before. I don't think they'll repeat that, but there are distinct possibilities of a return to Sepang now that the Formula One isn't there. Super GT used to get a bigger audience, a bigger crowd at Sepang than Formula One ever did.
A circuit that would suit these cars down to the ground would be the Singapore street track as well.
Oh, that would be good.
Imagine that either a week before or a week after the Grand Prix.
That would be astonishing. Well, there's good news. The Hoppy, number 25, Hoppy 86 is very slowly...
Yeah, it's still stuck in a...
That's not happy, is
stuck
it?
Did you say Hoppy or happy?
It's not a happy Hoppy. Oh, and that's definitely not right. He's got that completely wrong. He's going backwards. Matsura there has looped it somehow. How's he managed that? Did he have help? Yes, he did. The Leon Mercedes helped him. Wasn't using his mirrors there, battling for GT300.
That's bad from the Mercedes, because that car's left-hand drive. He had a massive white Honda over his left shoulder and just didn't spot it. So
I think he's going to get a driving moral hazard penalty for that.
I'd give him one.
Yeah. In Super GT, you don't just have penalties, you have moral hazard penalties.
Ah, it's Haruki Kurosawa.
There you go. Well, morally hazardous. And the 64 still hasn't got going. Well, that's surprising, because no damage should have been done there to Matsura.
No, he's just struggling.
He's struggling to get it going. Now, we've seen this with the Hondas before at Okayama last year, where they couldn't start.
Hot starting.
Yeah.
Where they were struggling. Remember, these cars are mid-engine, so the engine is in the back. They have slightly less through flow of...
You can see the engine is going, but he keeps stalling it. This reminds me a little bit of every year at Formula Student at Silverstone or Hockenheim, where during the endurance event, they can't quite get the cars to go again after it. But this guy's getting the engine to fire, but it doesn't look like he's keeping it getting it to keep it running. Could that be the end of the GT500? Definitely moral hazardous.
It could be a case. It's worth pointing out that these cars are in a very small clutch pack. And unlike a road car where the clutch is used hundreds and hundreds of times in every journey, the clutches in these cars are just used for pulling away. So we see double waved yellows warning the drivers of that stationary Honda.
There it is.
And yeah, he is struggling to pull away, and that could be a clutch problem.
He's got it turned around. He's got it pointing in the right direction.
And he's clearly got the engine started, because we saw him making an attempt to pull away, but...
I wonder how good the battery is. First response vehicle's out, or they've just identified my haircut. Nonetheless, or lack of haircut. Nonetheless, first response vehicle, if you haven't watched Super GT before, you're in for a treat. We're about to see a Nissan Skyline.
Yes, and it's not the Nissan Skyline you're probably thinking it is. It will look... There he is! Oi! Fighter! And right at the worst possible moment, the Honda
has got it going.
Ish.
No. Maybe. No. Well, that was alarming. As I say,
we could have almost been viral then, Sam.
Yeah, we really could have been. We may still be able to. How to make a Honda NSX start? Well, use a Nissan Skyline. Seems to be the talk of it. Yeah, that is the Nissan Skyline SUV, and there is some confusion. Finally, the Lotus Evora makes a pit stop in GT300. Where is he going to feed back out into the fields?
He's done almost half the race.
Yeah, and he'll do a very short stint, and then it'll be the other half of the race again. So that Lotus don't write that one off at all for GT300 honours. And I'm just trying to see where the competitive 300s are. There's debris down at turn 1 now. Didn't see where that came from, but it got clobbered by a GT500 there. It's just off the line. But if anyone goes a bit deep into the corner, they're going to get a puncture, I think. Just watch where this Honda comes in, turns in, and flips it. Now, we've gone for a fixed camera angle, which in Super GT land, as we discovered last year at the Suzuka race, isn't necessarily
a good thing.
No, either they've gone to commercial in Japan, which they don't normally, or there might have been some sort of camera failure. Oh, there you go, they probably just went to commercial. So, Suboi leading the race in the Sard Run LC 500, Team Sard.
6.5 seconds to the good from Matsuda, who has settled into a rhythm now, and the second driver's just a little bit off the pace of the first ones. We saw the lap times floating around the 1:31s. The second driver's in doing 1:32, so the circuit has evolved away. As the more rubber goes down, it hasn't necessarily meant that they've got quicker, and of course the traffic is now fairly equally spaced around the circuit.
Somebody didn't hold on to their lunch bag.
Sandwich bag go, dear oh dear.
I know, why do you bring a packed lunch? I mean, the food here is really good. Well, what are we watching here? Oh, is this where the debris came in? Yeah, massive chunk of bodywork or something. No, something soft.
Blanket.
Blanket.
Yeah, someone's dropped their comfort blanket.
Yeah, exactly.
So they've dropped their sandwich bag and their comfort blanket.
Yeah, Mardenborough on the tail. Well, that didn't take very long. Jan Mardenborough in front of the Raybury NSX, making it look very easy, actually. Will the Raybury get a tow down the straight? Yes, it will.
Do I need to talk about just heat insulation material and how it looks like comfort blankets, or will people just know that I'm talking nonsense?
No, it was a comfort blanket.
Oh, okay.
They're quite young drivers, some of these.
Oh, okay. I don't know, you never had this problem there in Senna and Alan Prost, did you?
No. So let's have a look. Jan Mardenborough battling here with Daiki Sasaki. No, it's not Yanamura, it's Daiki Sasaki battling with Jenson Button.
There we go.
There you go. I'm catching up with myself now. Daiki Wolf 23, I think his Twitter handle is. I'm not sure what the wolf is a reference to, but I think he just likes it. And Jenson Button coming off worse to that. Taking a slightly odd line there behind the Lamborghini. There's Jan Mardenborough. Watches all the races back on Nismo TV. Hello, Jan. He's looking happy.
Looking pumped.
If you ever want to meet a real car enthusiast, Jan Mardenborough, like, just genuinely gets excited about the tiniest elements of a car.
So my friend Stephen put something on Facebook this week about the old BMW 750iL. So the 12-cylinder BMW 7 Series long wheelbase limousine. First comment, Jan Mardenborough. Like, you're such a nerd.
He actually is a car geek.
Which is great, you know. I love the lad to pieces. I think he's brilliant, and for him to bring his passion and enthusiasm and go from bedroom gamer to professional racing driver and still have the bowler hat of nerdiness is just terrific.
Now, Enzo Ma has just said Benson Jutton is not doing so well. We thought this last time, but could they be playing a cunning strategy? Could they be double stinting the tyres on the second run? And it's quite possible, and that could give them a huge advantage in the race.
Their strategy could be so cunning, they may have pinned the tail to it and called it a weasel.
It could be more cunning. It's so cunning, it could actually have a doctorate in cunning from the College of Cunning from Cambridge University. And the throw was
that Ben Elton or was that Rowan Atkinson?
That was Rowan Atkinson. It was the throw there is just making its way back along the grass to wherever it lives. One of the things about Super GT and in Japanese racing in general, they use response vehicles. That's that blanket.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's the track. It's the track.
So what I thought was comfort blanket or heat.
That is an issue.
Heat insulation. It's AstroTurf. Now, we had this at Silverstone at WEC a few years ago. Beyond the curbing is what looks like grass. It's not. It's artificial grass, and that's rolling up there.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to cause a safety car, because that could cause a major issue.
Yeah, we're going to have a safety car for them to either remove...
They're going to have to strip it all up. because that astroturfy stuff, it's quite substantial, and if you get a load of that all over.
Yeah, if you get a section of AstroTurf on the front of your car, it will block cooling ducts, and it's just simply not safe. And the AstroTurf is held down by little pins, and those will be pulling out as well.
Now I wonder if they're going to. Are they going to call this? They're going to have to be making this. They're going to be up in the control tower. The control tower at Fuji Speedway has a direct line of sight to that curb. And I wonder if the race controller is staring out the window just going, what are we going to do about that?
Well, they weren't terribly bothered about the massive piece of debris that sat there and then got atomised over the course of the next 20 laps. But you'd expect them to do something. I think they'd be almost obliged to at least go and have a look at it to see if they can do something about it. But we have seen this before where AstroTurf has rolled up and it has resulted in a safety car, full course yellow, whatever you might want to call it.
Yeah, it'd probably be a full safety car actually, because it would be quite a lengthy one. What that could mean for the race is that we get to talk a bit more about Formula E and old historic cars, which I would like talking about the historics particularly. But it could mean we have an absolute mad dash to the finish.
Oh, heaven forbid that. Well, we've kind of got that already. You can see we're looking at P2, 3P. I'll put my teeth in P2, P3, and P4, still within the spread of a couple of seconds.
For the top 10 is separated by 44 seconds. Take it down to the 12, and with the Craft Sports GT-R with Gio's car, it's not the wheel of it at the moment, 56 seconds covers it, so half a lap really.
After an hour and 20 minutes of racing.
Yeah, half a lap between 12 cars. So there's still, and in GT300, similar story. The top 10 spread by 56 seconds. Now the Lotus Evora is back in 10th position. Don't let that mislead you. That's its slow driver in it. They'll do a pit stop early, I suspect, and then go for a very long second stint. A safety car would not suit that. Would suit that car.
Yeah, only 2 drivers in that Lotus, and it would be great if there was a safety car in this second period of the race. So the slower driver, it would limit the damage done to that Lotus's race.
In vain we trust says, the race has gone so fast! Exclamation.
That's because it's exciting.
Yes.
In vain we trust you've clearly been watching too much Formula One.
Well, actually, the last Grand Prix was really exciting. I watched it twice.
You know, normally they just follow each other around. Overtaking in F1 is relatively rare, whereas somewhere around the back of the Fuji Motor Speedway, 3 GT300 cars are now 3 abreast.
Absolutely, and that's just the permanent condition of GT300. Daytona prototype GT1 asks, is GT300 a full pro category, or is it Pro-Am?
I would say Pro-Am. I think it's a really nice Pro-Am, and when you look, when we have the scrolling grid at the top of the races, you can see a selection of younger professional drivers, and you see people that look like me and Sam as well. Ohio gozaimasu.
このですね、楽器レース場
で素晴らしい走行でトップを
奪いました。ヘイキー・コバレーニ選手です。序盤のですね、様子をですね聞いてみたいと思います。You made a great job in the first part of the 500 kilometers. And how was it?
It was okay. The car and the tires were working well, so I didn't have any big issues. And I was able to get up to the front, and then I tried to open the gap. Initially, it looked like Ronnie was able to follow me. Then just the last 4 or 5 laps, I managed to make a couple of seconds, so it was okay.
まあ本当ですね、序盤調子よくてタイヤも車も調子よくてということで大きなですねトラブルもなくと。
Japanese then translated back for Japanese TV, but if it's from a European driver in English, they give us the feed from the J Sports coverage in Japan. That's what you're seeing now. So we'll get the answer from Heikki in English.
It's a boy show. It made a great job, isn't it?
It's amazing. Very little practice, and yesterday we had some fog, so he missed even more practice, and now he's doing amazing. So he's a great young driver, and I think he's got a bright future. He's very talented. Obviously, a good feel for the car. So he's doing a good job subbing Kamui.
Good luck for the rest of the race. まあそしてですね、坪井選手のですね、今素晴らしい走りに対してということで聞いてみましたけど、いや彼はすごいねと、ちょっとだけの練習ですね、これだけのその走りを見せてくれるんだったら、彼の将来性というのはすごいんじゃないかなと、いや本当に素晴らしいドライバーだということで、お褒めの言葉、元 F1 ドライバーからのお褒めの言葉が以上です。
hand over the lead to Sho Suboi, who well, as you said, he's a great young driver, and yeah, looks about 13, 14. But we were just talking about the GT300 category, and yeah, I would say yes, pro-am, between a younger pro and a slightly older gent driver as well.
GT500, a few manufacturers in GT500 have used SuperGT to sort of showcase their new young talent. Yamaha being a prime example of that, as is Daiki Sasaki. Tadashi Makino, the Honda driver, was extremely competitive on his first ever GT500 race a couple of years ago. Turned up and was a second a lap quicker than his teammate on his first outing. So he's gone over to Europe for a bit of Formula 3 action and is doing averagely.
Yeah, perhaps the Formula 3 car not suiting his aggressive driving style. You have to be incredibly careful in a Formula 3 car. Those two Lexuses making their way past Mintzilla on the front straight. The Matsuda nipping past the Gulf Porsche as well. Not really spoken about that car this afternoon either.
I think Mrs. Kovalainen is tuned in. I'm not sure if it's the real Mrs. Kovalainen or not.
It will
the real Mrs. Kovalainen lives in Japan.
No, Abu Dhabi.
Oh, well, then she will be watching us then.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
I don't know what the finish for hello is. Something like that.
Catherine's not actually that Japanese either, and neither's her father Steve. But there we go.
Oh, hello.
There we go. Yeah, so Heikki Kovalainen's father-in-law, ladies and gentlemen, raced at Le Mans 24 hours.
Oh.
His name is Steve. Go get Wikipedia.
Yeah,
That's
is
one
a
for a pub
good
quiz.
question. Yes, there you go. Shadowline 248 says, how close are these cars to DTM cars? Very, very close when they're standing still, not so close when they're moving. These cars are much, much quicker than DTM cars, and the racing is much, much closer, as you can see here. But in the battle for third position, as Ishiura is still trying to get past Sekiguchi. I mean, they're going to hammer their tyres doing this, Rob.
The thing we have as well within Super GTs is this two-class structure. Within DTM, all the cars are just running a single category, whereas now we have the GT500s and the GT300s, and there's multi-class action as well as we're looking at here, the inter-class.
It's got to have to go now.
Rivalry, yeah, here we go.
And they are totally tucked up together. The Zensuruma and the AU Tom's car absolutely together. He's going to have a run down into the first corner. Are they going to make this work? This has got contact written all over it, actually. Oh, he's thought better of it. He's going to try and go wide and get the run into the GT300 cars just in the wrong place with the wonky sticker. No, didn't work. Ishiura is desperate to get past that. They're going to be going like this all year. I think this is going to hammer their tyres. Really do.
It's certainly not helping, and of course they're pushing each other so hard they are going to find themselves off the conventional racing line. When you're making moves or defending, whatever it might be, you find yourself on the slightly dirtier side of the track, and that was a late lunge on that RCF GT300 car.
Yeah, there's James Rossiter. He's smiling. He's definitely a Nismo TV viewer.
Needs a beard, that boy.
No, well, we haven't got Bjorn Verdheim in the series this year, which is a shame. We'll have to get him in the studio at some point.
James needs to grow a beard. There's a hashtag.
James, yeah, beard for Rossiter. Is he old enough to grow a beard?
Yeah, look, he's even stroking his smooth face in like a disappointing, I wish I had a beard sort of way.
I'm going to be having a drink with him in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to get help for that. Well, yeah, we look at this great battle between these two Lexi. I'm wondering. I can't believe that they haven't done anything about that grasscrete or AstroTurf on the exit. It's not grasscrete. It's AstroTurf on the exit of the final corner. It doesn't seem to be tearing up as badly as it was. Well, the weather in Fuji Speedway is lovely.
Much better than it was yesterday, and yeah, at Silverstone when they safety carred it, the AstroTurf came off in big rolls, whereas it looks like it's just coming off in little handkerchief, tea towel size pieces.
Well, there is the battle between the blue car Calsonic. We haven't seen any red car blue car action for a long time now, actually.
No, not since the massive driver fines of 2016.
Yes, exactly. They've got to. And, well, there is a real legend of Nissan motor racing totally getting into it. We do have a really good interview with him.
Here we we go.
Elsewhere on Nismo TV. Oh, it's Zonta time.
It's a pincer manoeuvre, and
it's still not done. This battle's still going on. We have a great interview with him on Nismo TV, but I don't think it's live yet. I'm not sure. But Najiri and Daiki Sasaki are really entertaining us around Fuji Speedway. Halfway through now, well, past halfway through this 500-kilometer race at Fuji Speedway. It's Golden Week in Japan. We are racing on Friday live on Nismo TV. Don't forget to follow us as he gets the move done, but loses it again.
Down the inside at Dunlop corner. Brilliant move. Came from nowhere, just on the brakes. I think he caught the NSX snoozing.
And this is the second round of the 2018 Super GT season. If you're liking this action, and how can you not? Hit like, subscribe, let us know. We're going to bring you all of the second half of this race live and uninterrupted here on Nismo TV. We're going to have interviews, action, and of course, the unmissable podium ceremony at the end of the race. This has been, don't forget to hit like as well, because that tells our bosses that you're all enjoying what you want and you want more of it. And we've got some fantastic post-race interviews we'll be playing out through the rest of the week and the weeks to come up to the next round. Lots of great content here on Nismo TV. And if you're so inclined, you can even have a good look at the new Formula E car during its concept livery unveil in Geneva. I took a look over the technical status of that car. Here we are, though, looking at second position in GT300, the second tier of racing in Super GT. Subaru BRZ battling still for second position with Koki Saga in, yes, it is a Toyota Prius.
The class still led by the FIA GT3 BMW M6 in GT300.
GT300, of course, that mix, and that's a problem there for the Prius maybe. Slowing, is that the 30 or the 31 that's slowing? I'm not quite sure. I think that might be the 31 in trouble. Nonetheless, there is a mix of pro drivers and amateur drivers in GT300. There are paid professional drivers. You'll see names up until the start of this season, people like Bjorn Wertheim, who raced for 11 years out here, earning a very nice salary before returning to Europe for this season. And the BRZ is in engine trouble again. We've seen this before. The EJ20 has cried enough, and that is, yeah, well, there's a telltale.
Yeah, smoke from the front and a little wisp at the back. That's a breather. So it's hot, it's smoky, and it's certainly not happy.
The engine in this number 61 Subaru BRZ is derived from a World Rally Championship engine. Proud of Boxer, not so proud of it at the moment. It has had trouble before. When it works, it's super competitive.
As Boxer engines are, you know.
But when it doesn't, well, that's what happens. They were on for a fantastic result here at Fuji Speedway, and of course Subaru, well, he's very unhappy with that. Nothing the driver can do. He's just fed up.
I'm perfect. The car is less so. Heartbreak.
Yep.
And this is the first big race for these guys this season, you know. It's the first 500-kilometer race in front of huge crowds during the public holiday, and yeah, they were doing so well. They were keeping the BMW honest at the head of the field, and lost a podium position in the second half of the race.
Now, these cars, you might not see, we don't have too many onboard cameras during the race. The Subaru is the only car that has an onboard camera that works reliably during the race here in Super GT. For whatever reason, that's just the situation. But most of these GT500 cars are carrying onboard cameras, and quite often the footage gets put out after the race. I would really like to see the rear view camera of that orange and white AU Tom's car and the front view camera of the Zendt Tsurumo, because it would be fantastic. And this guy is definitely making the highlights reel, isn't he?
Yeah, the negative body language from the young man there is, heartbreaking. But these two Lexi have been locked together now. We're coming into maybe the 6th or 7th lap, and this is the biggest gap we've seen between them, which must be, what, 3 or 4 car lengths now? And
yeah, absolutely. And Aldridge Connell's just pointed something out to me, that the Mach 5 GT86, which is not normally a super competitive car, is up into the top 10 in GT300 on merit, which is pretty great for them. So I think we are, as I said at the beginning, at the top of the race, I said we're going to get a slightly unusual result here, and I think we are on target for that, particularly in GT300. Let's see that again. Yeah, there you go.
There, he's even made the replay.
Oh, yeah. SuperGT attempts to destroy Fuji Speedway's facility. The track, he's trying to take down the fence. The last corner is falling apart, and they'll get rid of that broken BRZ fairly soon.
I'm looking ahead. We're coming into GT300 traffic now with this battle between the two Lexuses.
Well, we are, and it means the first and second cars are in place there as well. They'll be in that traffic at the moment. Will Sugio Matsuda be able to make that work? Bit of blue smoke out the back of the AU Tom's car there, I just thought I saw. Engine failure is unusual for Lexus. Lots of new technology on these cars. Lots of new technology on these cars. The technology in the engine, a lot of them are using pre-chamber ignition systems, the same as Formula One.
Yes.
What this basically does is allow some of the fuel to ignite before the spark. And it gives you a much higher efficiency level. It lets the compression ratio of the engine go really sky high, and lets you run, okay, the fuel you have to use in these cars is the big restricting factor, because they have to purchase the fuel in these cars from the pumps at the racetrack.
Yeah, it's
so it has to be the commercially available racetrack paddock fuel. So each track has slightly different fuel, so you can't have the fuel tuning you have in Formula One.
And the efficiency in these petrol engines, these four-cylinder turbocharged petrol engines, as we see the race leader there running out, really trying hard to avoid the AstroTurf debris on the outside of the final corner there at turn 16. The efficiency of these engines is world-leading. As you say, the pre-chamber ignition, the direct injection, the pressure at the fuel injector head is phenomenal. Sort of 3,500 bar, I heard talked about, and that's, you can't get your head around that. The fuel is almost atomized and then is burnt before the spark plug ignites the rest. It's fascinating, and
I call them semi-diesels.
Yeah, exactly. They are. They almost burn the fuel like a diesel has been the direct injection era of diesel engines.
And they all have pre-chamber ignition systems. Now, one of the reasons we're talking about the technology of these cars, because this innovation is quite exciting, and that's the reason companies like Nissan are involved in motor racing, to actually develop cars. But what makes the engines in these cars so relevant is because they're using that available fuel on the pump. It's directly applicable to road cars of the future.
Yeah, they're not using special super high octane race fuel, as you said a moment ago, Sam. It comes out of the fuel pump at the motor racing venue. So if you turn up with your Mercedes AMG GT car to do a track day next Wednesday, you'll be using the same fuel as the Motul Ortec GT500 works team we're using at the weekend.
And the fuel at Okayama is different to the fuel at Fuji Speedway, is different to the fuel at Suzuka and Sugo. And actually, sometimes there's a choice of 3 or 4 different pumps from different manufacturers in the paddock. And some teams actually go to, the GT500 teams definitely do this, they go to the racetrack a couple of weeks before, buy a sample of the fuel from the pump, take it home, and map their engines based on the fuel they can buy from the various pumps to find which one is the best. Engine development is ongoing in GT500. So their different specs of engine are introduced through the season, so they are allowed to fully develop these engines.
And when you say is ongoing, engine development will be ongoing session to session and also lap to lap. The drivers have a facility on the steering wheel to change the engine map. It used to be the case that drivers had access to really 3 maps, one for qualifying, one for race, and one for safety car, whereas now you're looking at fine-tuning the engine performance and maximising performance and maximising efficiency. It's not just one or the other.
Now, if you are watching this, there's 2,700 of you live on YouTube. There's a few more of you dotted around in other places as well. I know a lot more of you will be watching this on the catch-up service later on. If you're enjoying this, make sure you hit the like button. The like button, the more likes they get, the more videos, the more in-depth behind-the-scenes stuff we can put out in the weeks between the races. So we need likes to give you the best content. And the more likes we get, the more racing action you will get on Nismo TV.
I'm going to put this out there as well. Sam and I really, really, really want to go to Japan.
Yeah, me
We really want to. Sorry, Sam, I, and the production team really want to go to Japan to cover this live later in the year from the paddock. I want to be in there, pit lane reporter, helping Sam in the box. And yeah, if you hit like, if you hit subscribe, our chances of physically being there at Suzuka will be considerably higher than they are now.
And if we get 7,500 likes, Nismo have already told me they're going to take one of you regular viewers out to Japan too. So you can become part of the Nismo TV crew. There you go. It's got to be 7,500 likes.
Oh look, they're going up.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So the Honda battle is still nose to tail. The Ray Brigg car being chased by the iconic liveried Motul car.
And well, it's all the different Hondas. You can see the different type of NSX there. You've got the GT3 specification Honda NSX, and then you've got the GT500 Honda NSX, and you can see how different those two cars actually are. The GT500 car is actually physically bigger than the GT3.
Yeah. Good-looking road car, the Honda NSX. Really sort of pretty, quite unusual looking car.
Doesn't look as good as a Micro. It doesn't. The new Nissan Micro is really cool. I saw one of them. I'm not just saying that because it's Nismo TV. I genuinely think they're awesome.
Are we going to come round to Nismo Micro and Nismo Leafs as it come to that time? I'd have a Nismo Leaf.
I'd have a Nismo Leaf as well, and a Nismo Micro.
Where we live in Cornwall, well, not you and I, obviously.
I don't live in Cornwall.
But where my wife and I live in Cornwall.
I live in civilization, Hertfordshire.
A Nismo Leaf would be the perfect car. You can't do more than about 20 miles, and my wife drives like a maniac. Morning, Rebecca, if you're listening.
For me, the Micro or the Leaf, I'd quite happily take either.
Just performance cars, good fun cars to drive. Okay, so making a pit stop is the Forum Engineering GT-R.
That's out of sequence there.
Oh,
no, it's not actually. That's just about right. 66 laps on the board.
Yeah.
The first sequence of pit stops was on lap 35, so we're expecting laps 71 to 72. So he's a little on the early side.
Full service. He took a pair of rear tyres. The fuel is going in now. The guys are ready on the front of the car to change the front tyres.
Reset the Picture asked, will this year's Micro Cup be streamed on Nismo TV? Yes, I think some of it will be, though I think no one's actually looked at the schedule. But yes, I think we'll get some Micro Cup action on Nismo TV this year. It'll probably be in French, though. Bon.
Meanwhile, back with the Lexi battle. You're right, a forward-facing and rear-facing camera feed of this would be half an hour very, very well spent. Because these guys, although we're looking at running nose to tail, they will have been going left of traffic, right of traffic, over the top of traffic.
I think between them, they've made themselves less competitive. They were quite close, if you remember, to the battle for first and second.
Yep.
And that's just gone down the road now because the Motul Alltech GT-R in second position is in clear air.
Yep.
The Heikki Kovalainen's and his teammate, his name escapes me because I just saw the Mach 5 car up running rail quite nicely, is running also in clean air, and they're just making it work as Jensen Button goes wheel to wheel with Daisuke Nakajima. Nakajima nearly making that work with the 16 Motul car. I think Button isn't making well.
Never say never, because we said this at the last round.
Yeah,
and suddenly they rose like a phoenix.
Really need, because they didn't stop for tyres. So we really need to see if they're going to double stint driver and tyres for the second stint. RJ O'Connell of Super GT World as Daisuke Nakajima gets the job done on Jensen Button. Button goes for the undercut, gets it done.
I think Nakajima might hang on around the outside there. Remember, we're coming into the Coca-Cola corner at the left-hander here, and he's still there.
Yeah, no, that's Button. Now, is Button conserving the tyres, or is he just off the pace? There is some. We're still speculating. How good is Jensen Button in a sports car?
Yeah, I think he's pretty good.
The results aren't showing that at the moment.
Let's see.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we discounted him at the start of the Akiyama race, and there he was on the podium collecting his golf clubs at the end. So we'll see.
I don't think they got golf clubs in third, did they?
Did they not? They they got a very small trophy.
The explanation of at the end of the race, there's a podium ceremony, as in all championships. In Super GT, it's just quite different. If you've never seen it before, just stay tuned at the end of this race. We will have it in full. And the podium ceremony is unusual.
It's better.
It's definitely better.
It's just like a podium ceremony, but better in every way.
And it was Jenson Button's first time Benson Jutland's first time on the podium since 2013.
It was a long
Brazilian
long
Grand Prix 2013,
yes,
I think, which he won. And so he wasn't quite sure how to behave on the podium, but he came back to him. But that was on a race. That was a very smart drive of race strategy. So was that good? But we have yet to see very great pace from Button in these cars. And of course, he will be at the Le Mans 24 Hours this year as well, it has been announced. We're in an LMP1L car, again going toe-to-toe with Nissan-powered car. At least one Nissan-powered car in that category. And we're looking at the number 100 car. And passing around the outside of a GT300 car. A little bit of a lull in the action at the moment as the field gets spread, but this is just before the pit stop sequence. The tyres are at the eldest as the blue car is on the back of Kurosawa there.
I found myself looking at the lap counter there, Sam, just thinking how many laps to go, and we're coming up to about 41 laps to go because the tyre debris offline now is enormous.
It's going to be
enormous. The marbles offline going down the straight is only going to get worse and worse and worse. We've got pieces of tyre, we've got the little pieces of AstroTurf, as we saw Kurosawa, who's coming in the pits by the look of it, run over some of that as he makes his way into pit road. He's safely down to pit speed well before the line. They're very conservative, not like we saw the pair of GT500 cars coming in a few moments ago.
A great question came in from Marcus Grove, saying, is it only pit speed limit you can be penalised in the pit lane for? No, absolutely not. If you look, when the car comes to a stop here, there'll be a difference between the fuelers and the tyres. Now, will they do the tyres first? No, fuel goes in first, and you'll notice the chaps sitting there on the tyres, no tyre warmers, of course, allowed in Super GT. The chaps sitting on their tyres are sitting waiting, poised to change tyre, but they're not allowed to get involved in the car while it's being refueled, as is the air lance man sitting there waiting. And as soon as you see the air lance man is studying the refueling guy, when the refueling guy pulls back, you'll see the air lance go in, the car shoot up on the jacks, and then the tyres will be changed. They're doing fronts first, only two people doing the tyre changing, so it's not team of three like in other series, so one man, one gun, and then they'll run round to the back of the car. No, they won't.
Only fronts.
The front tyres only. Now we are seeing tyre strategy coming into play, as I thought we might.
The Mercedes is quite kind on its tyres. I noticed that the Hatsune Miku car only took a pair of tyres at its first stop as well. So the time saved, is that a Honda struggling? No, the time saved by not changing the rears, they think will be...
Oh, yes, that is. Yes.
Left rear puncture.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I thought I saw the driver struggling, so... Oh, look, this is another left rear puncture. Is this now a consequence of...
It is a consequence of Jenson Button. No, it's gone there all on its own.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, is it a consequence of running out over where the pins that would be holding that AstroTurf are located? But it would have... I think it would have gone earlier in the lap if that was the case. But again, look at all the rubbish and debris on the side of the track. That's more than the odd lunch bag there now.
Well, as we get up to the second phase of this three-phase race is coming to an end. We don't have silly points in the middle of it like NASCAR does, which ruins the sport, I think. We have just pure racing, but this is in strategy terms. This puncture for the number 16 Motul NSX might not be catastrophic because we are just entering the scheduled pit window.
Yeah, they're going to have to sort of bring forwards their final stop.
Go a bit longer on the tyres and the fuel, but the car's quite capable of it. The driver's capable of keeping the tyres alive. We'll wait and see. There it goes. So that could be not the worst thing in the world. If a safety car happens, for example, in the final segment of this race, that would be beneficial to the Honda. Here we go, the race leaders. The number 39, Su Suboy. Heikki Kovalainen would like to get back into that car imminently. Finish the race. and he's got quite a lead there.
Yeah,
so
it's been sort of
going well,
fluctuating between 3.5 and 5.5 seconds, traffic dependent, of course.
Of course, in Super GT, that can disappear in a second, as we saw earlier in the race with the Motor Lawtech car losing a 3-second lead in two corners due to GT300 traffic. Andreas, my friend Andreas from Germany, asks, is there any information about another team taking a NISMO engine to Le Mans other than Bicollers? Andreas has asked me this about 8 times. Andreas, I don't know the answer, but there is a car that it fits straight into.
Said a spokesman.
So, yeah, rumours of a second Bicollers car joining WEC at some point. I don't think for Le Mans. And, of course, the possibility of another LMP1 car altogether taking a Nissan engine. And there's more than one type of Nissan engine you can take for LMP1. But no news at all on that, other than the Bicollers car, which we'll know about because it's racing this weekend at Spa. Tomorrow, in fact.
Tomorrow. Yes, sorry.
And the TV director has just realised
there.
There's an abandoned Subaru on the side of the track. Yeah, that's going to stay there till the end of the race, mate.
And the driver's just off camera, still shaking the crowd barrier.
So we are expecting the next pit sequence, the final pit sequence, and then it is the dash to the finish. It's been fantastic. It's been a fantastic ride. This doesn't feel like we've done a 500-kilometre race at all. 72 laps completed of 110. Pit stops coming. A battle for the lead is separated by 3 and 4 seconds, depending on traffic. The sun is getting low in the sky here at Fuji Speedway. Mount Fuji sitting, looking absolutely lovely, just off to the end of the main grandstand at the final corner. You get a great view of it out of the car's windscreens, just at about this point of the track. You can get it on Gran Turismo too, but it's much better in reality. If you're enjoying this race action, don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's just there. He's just watching it.
Heikki Kovalainen is being is looking at Nismo TV. He's probably looking at what's coming up in at Nismo TV. Well, we've got lots more Formula E insight with the Formula E program coming up, and the V8 supercars. Oh, and the Zensurume car gets forced off by a GT300 there as that battle continues between the AU Tom's car, but I think that's coming in the pits, is he? Yes, he is, giving Zent a bit of free rein. The Blancpain Endurance Series is in action with the Sprint Series. The GT Sport Motor Team RJN not in action in the Sprint Series, but is in action in the Endurance Series, which is Silverstone next week, and that will be live on Nismo TV in full, of course. Also next week, the Blancpain Asia Series will be in Thailand. Sugo Matsuda and Florian Strauss will be in the KCMG car in their new specification GT-R GT3s, and I think that also is live on Nismo TV. I can't remember. And Silverstone, it's the Blancpain Endurance Series there, definitely live on Nismo TV, as just mentioned. European Le Mans Series is in action at Monza with the Le Mans Cup and Road to Le Mans. Nissan powering all of the LMP3 cars, of course, including Ricardo Sanchez, who's in the Le Mans Cup alongside his Blancpain commitments this year. So that is Nissan fantastic. And of course, we have just had the featured. Nissan has just been the featured mark in the Mitty Historic Road event at Road Atlanta. There's some lovely onboard videos on that on Nismo TV already. It's also the featured mark at the Monterey Historics at Laguna Seca. There's going to be some awesome cars in action there. And if you're full of retro fever by then, there's a race at Bargbalo Raceway in Australia land with the supercars, and the last round at Phillip Island, Rick Kelly scored a pair of podiums. I don't know how he managed to get twice, 12th, second and third. Fantastic. And there's a race this weekend at Mid-Ohio in IMSA, which is okay online. So ESM is doing very, very well there.
Can I just point out that the man who's got in the AU Lexus here looks like the Kraken. James Rossiter got in that car with the body language of a man on a mission. The regulations state that the driver getting out of the car has to rest for 2/3 of their driving time, so he's now done that. He's back out on cold tyres. The Wacos car also doing their final full service, taking one of the tear-offs off the windscreen to give the second driver, Oshima, the clear view.
Now, in the words of Tommy Mäkinen, which is probably being radioed to every single driver getting into one of these cars at the moment, maximum attack.
Yeah, very good, very good.
And it will be, as I say, once this pit sequence has cycled through, this is going to be quite a race to the flag.
Yeah, you can see that the guys in orange there, the pit lane scrutineers, are watching very carefully the sequence, and they're looking for those infringements of rules and regulations that we spoke about earlier.
Now, in NASCAR, there's a fantastic segment they put in most races called Crank It Up. And that's where you just listen to the engine, the sound of the engines of these cars. Now, we're talking about the engine specifications of these cars. 2-litre turbocharged, very similar technology to Formula 1. It's essentially identical technology to Formula 1 V6 engines, but in a 4-cylinder 2-litre arrangement instead of a 1.6 V6. But listen to these engines. Hopefully we'll get some good GT500 sounds at the moment, and we're going to be turning the sound up in a minute and trying to listen to the sound of these cars. Now, let's get sound on this. Well, just as they're a pit stop cycle, we saw Jenson Button hopping out of his Honda there, handing the car back to Yamamoto. And they're not double stinting the driver. We didn't get to notice if they double stinted the tyres. I'm just going to wind back our instant replay functionality so we can just see if they did do that. But the sound of these cars as they leave the pits, we'll hear the Lexus as it leaves in a moment when this tyre change is finished. They are definitely doing tyre changes, as you can see on the Tsurumo. And there we saw the Red Bull Lexus in the pits there as well. So once this sequence has cycled through, the battle will be on for the victory here. I think the podium's going to be at night. It's getting quite gloomy there at Fuji. When the sun's low, does that make a difference for the drivers?
Yeah, very much so. The sun sort of obviously sets in the west, and as you head towards the horizon going west, it can be a real glare. And it's obviously not foggy or murky today, but you can see there's still a little bit of moisture in the air, and that's caught by the setting sun. And yeah, the headlights now looking brighter as they make their way down into turn 1.
Yeah, it's absolutely, quite a lot of you clearly enjoyed that loud sound of the cars. I can see the reaction. We might do a bit more of that later on. In fact, we might do it this. I want to get a Nissan GT-R. We've had a Honda, a Lexus. I want to hear the GT-R coming out of the pit lane, because one thing when you're at a Super GT race, what you will discover is that the GT500 cars all sound different to each other. You can tell them apart just by the sound, particularly when they're coming into a corner. There you go, that's another Lexus, and that is the race leader, or the former race leader. The Motul Ortec GT-R has yet to stop. We'll do a Crank It Up when that car comes into the pits, the number 23, and we'll hear what a GT-R sounds like leaving the pit lane here at Fuji Speedway. My answer is I know what it sounds like. It sounds really, really good. 76 laps completed here at Fuji Speedway, and I still haven't managed to watch my instant replay of the Raybrig NSX's pit stop because I keep on getting distracted by what's going on track.
They did cut to it quite late. I was watching and couldn't see if they did a full service or indeed a driver change. But yeah, two more Lexuses. The old Zent cars had his work cut out this afternoon. Defending incredibly hard, tight against the pit road, and they're three abreast on lap 77 down the front straight, giving the crowd something to cheer about as well.
That Zent car just wants to race with everybody all day. Fantastic show they're putting on. I mean, I know in Formula 1 you have like a driver of the race award. I think an entertainer of the race, the Zent car. Now here we go. The Nissan GT-R Motul Ortec car comes in from the lead. Ronnie Quintarelli getting in, I think,
yes,
with Sugio Matsuda getting out, which is surprising. Matsuda is usually the faster driver. We will get the sound up, or we will just be listening in to this car as it pulls out of pit lane. And, oh, they've cut away. So we're going to have some raw sound now. We're going to listen to it because we've got all two GTRs. The blue car, red car and blue car are in together, and we're just going to listen to this process as it goes on.
Don't get that in Formula 1, do you?
You absolutely don't. That sound is just epically good when you hear it. in reality, and it's pretty good when you hear it on Nismo TV as well.
Love a nice burnout as well. I've always been a big fan of the NASCAR pit stops when they are rushing to get heat in their rear tyres, and when you leave the pits and just do a big smoky burnout. Of course, it looks great, but also the drivers are doing everything they can to quickly get heat in the rear tyres.
2-tyre stop on the Raybrigg NSX.
No driver.
Driver, yes.
Okay, so Button isn't going to the flag.
No.
Okay.
They changed driver. Yamamoto got in the car, but they only changed the fronts on the NSX. So that could be a very key point in this race.
Okay, so they were floating around 8th or 9th. We'll have to keep an eye on that. So Quintarelli back in the red Nissan GT-R.
And holding the lead at the moment. And that could be that Nismo have played a blinder and got back into the lead and leapfrogged by staying out. They have leapfrogged the 39 Lexus LC500. This is going to be a battle for the lead to the flag.
Yeah,
there goes the very competitive Toyota Prius, but the Arta M6 is back in the lead of GT300.
Very quick, efficient final stop there from the Nismo team has seen them, as you say, leapfrog the erstwhile leader, the previous leader, Heikki Kovalainen, and you can see the gap now. It's just over a couple of seconds, and the P1 and P2 are going to be running. Well, there they are. That's the gap between first to second, and we have.
Well, this is a battle. This is going to be a battle now
to the flag.
To the flag between two of the finest blonde-haired drivers in sports car racing. Ronnie Quintarelli and Heikki Kovalainen are going to be dueling this out. It's Toyota in second versus Nissan in first. 1 lap fresher tyres for Ronnie Quintarelli, but they're not quite as up to temperature as Heikki Kovalainen, but both drivers know how to deal with that. But the gap is going to close down, and then what will happen? It's Michelin versus Bridgestone, Nissan versus Lexus, and in the pits in GT300 is the Arta M6 BMW, Mr. Orange Jacket's favourite, Tom Walkinshaw, getting out of that car.
Tom's son, indeed, Sean.
Sean, indeed. 2/3 of distance covered. This is it. This is the battle to the end. There's Mintzilla. Question about the headlights. Do the headlights have to be on in Super GT? No, they don't, but I think they should be, because it makes it easier to tell the cars apart.
It would certainly make our job and the job of the spectators identifying which class the cars are running in. I think it's a safety thing as well. It's always good from a driver's perspective to have cars running with headlights on. You just kind of catch them in your peripheral vision a little bit easier. And yeah, we see the Hatsune Miku Mercedes has inherited the lead of GT300. That could be on pit stop cycles. The Arta BMW that we're looking at now has been dominant all afternoon.
Well, that gap's coming down from 2.6 seconds to 1.5 at the Sector 2 control line. And I think you'll see these two cars get together, bit of a scrap, and then the Motorlortec GT-R will use that Nissan innovation to get in front. He's drinking Capri Sun.
There we go.
See, he enjoys it.
He's had two. That was his second.
No, that's just him saying he's in second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I thought he was enjoying his second delicious beverage in a pouch.
Now, in the first stint, Ronnie Quintarelli lost a load of time going through GT300 traffic. That cost him the lead. He's approaching the leading pack in GT300 again. Will he have learned from his mistake?
It's not a question of learning from your mistake. You know, he's been doing this an awfully long time, and he's an extremely gifted pilot. You just have to be in the right place at the right time, and sometimes the traffic falls for you, and other times it doesn't. And it would be unusual for him to lose it twice in traffic. I think he will be driving an exceptionally wide Nissan GT-R in about 4 laps' time if Heikki has the run of the traffic and does close that almost 2-second gap.
New fastest lap from Yamamoto, Jenson Button's team at a 1:30.5, and that's after just a 2-tyre stop, so he obviously needed those fronts. Don't rule out the Raybrigg yet.
There's another hashtag, don't rule out the Raybrigg.
Yeah, Benson Jutton, don't rule out the Raybrigg. And here's the Zensurumo battling with another car. They just really want to finish in third, don't they? They're desperate to get third position.
They're like some sort of Lexi display team. There we go. See, we're going to bang into each other.
That'll be a moral hazard.
And again, no, I'm going to drive you into the back of the...
It's all Lexus here. There's a GT300 Lexus there. That's the GT3 Lexus RCF. Great sound as they come past the pits.
And there we see the Zenk car running over those marbles that I was talking about a moment ago. Slightly dirtier tyres. Can he hold the line at turn 1? He can just about, but he's going to be vulnerable as they make their round towards the left at Coca-Cola corner here. No, he's still leads as they come round into turn 4 and then into the long 100R corner here, this long never-ending right-hander.
30 laps to go, no pit stops expected from the front runners now. Hatsune Miku maybe, I haven't checked her pit stops. Leading GT300 in the 0 Mercedes. Just have a quick look in a moment to see if she has got 2 stops on the board. We certainly didn't see her come into the pits for a second time.
No, she only took 2 tyres at the first stop as well, so that would be probably due a full service at the next pit stop.
Ronnie Quintarelli, the Michelins have come in on the Motul Ortec GT-R, fastest lap 1:30.460. They are on a mission, that's 3 seconds off qualifying pace, but I think those lap times are going to come tumbling down now.
Yeah, that's the...
There you go, confirmation. Hatsune Miku hasn't stopped. Modulo NSX hasn't stopped, but that wasn't very competitive. The Manipa Lamborghini has just stopped, as I said its name. And the Hitsunomiya Audi has also not stopped. But all of the serious running. The Lotus Evora hasn't stopped, but that strategy is not playing out, because it is on 44 lap, well, its last pit in was 44, but it's down in 11th position with its slow driver. They really should be stopping to put the fast guy back in by now, and that strategy is not working out for them. There is Hatsune Miku, expected to come and visit the mechanics.
No, not going to make a stop this lap, still staying to driver's left as they make their way down the front straight. Remember, almost 1,500 metres long this front straight gives the drivers real chance to breathe and relax. Takagi in the on the road second place GT300 car, but he will be inheriting the lead when Hatsune Miku makes their stop.
You know, this is all setting up to an absolutely sensational finish to this race, because we know those Michelin tyres on the Motul Ortec GT-R start to fade towards the end of the stint. We know the Lexus is strong at the end of the stint. There's not a big gap between them, and this is going to be a grandstand finish, I suspect.
You know, on paper, 500 kilometres could be quite a long time. You think 3 hours for one motor race, that's going to be a fairly lengthy affair.
Don't feel like it.
Rubbish. It's just flown by like the final of the Formula Ford Festival. Everywhere we've looked, there's been action, there's been strategy. It's superb, and you know, a fabulous grid of cars around a fabulous venue, driven by a gifted group of drivers, being engineered by some fantastically knowledgeable team personnel. It's just a winning flavour.
Key factor in the race right there. The sun is falling in the sky. Air temperature is down to 19 degrees. Track temperature is down to 25 degrees, and that's going to have a massive effect on the tyre performance and tyre life. Now, there are different compounds of tyre within each tyre manufacturer's range. Now, we don't get that tyre compound data until after the race, but they have like a soft, medium, hard, super soft, but that's per manufacturer. So the number of different tyres that each manufacturer can pick from in GT500 particularly is huge. But what tyres are on that car right now, and have they taken into account the weather conditions, the fact the track is cooling significantly now?
Yeah, you can see the sun beginning to set now. The first glimmers of twilight, the sun getting much lower in the sky, and the shadows becoming much longer. The flames more prominent on downchange, the exhausts on the Nissan there just underneath the Motul logo on the right-hand door. You can see that all becoming more obvious as the sun begins to set. The camera's making it look a lot lighter than it actually is, and yeah, here we are, 28 to go.
Do you reckon those guys waving the flags, their arms get tired? Because they do that for the whole race. Every time the Nissan comes past, the Nismo flags are waved.
Do they not do like a split strategy, and like when they change drivers, they change wavers?
I'm not sure. I mean, they did come to Le Mans and do it through the Le Mans, but that was... And I think they might be back to do it for the Collers car. I'm not sure.
There we go. Hit like.
Oh, that sticker on that Audi really annoys me.
Hit like, hit subscribe, send me to Japan, and I will go and interview the flag wavers in my fluent Japanese.
I did that last year.
Oh, been there. Hashtag
yeah,
been there,
you can watch that elsewhere on Nismo TV. So hit like and subscribe, and we'll bring you more of the Nismo shout. It's in the Nismo Grand Prix coverage from last year, actually, which is well worth watching after this.
Yeah, some of the cars that do the heritage parades, the iconic vehicles, and yeah, well worth watching on the NISMO YouTube channel.
There's Catherine Kovalainen's husband, better known as Heike, in second position in the 39 car. Now this is a waiting game. Now look, that's fairly consistent lap times. Obviously got a GT300 in the middle of there, but consistent lap times. He's driving at the pace he needs to drive at, and this is going to be about the tyre performance at the end of the race. The gap between the first and second isn't huge, it's about 3-4 seconds, which is what it was before. The gap will change and ebb and flow with the GT300 traffic. They're out of the traffic at the moment. As I say, he gets into the back of the traffic. That's the top 10 GT300 cars. There's the Mach 5 car number 5, which has 2 numbers on the side. It has its own number and then the regulatory official number plate. Oh, an interview is coming up in Japanese, which isn't going to be very helpful.
It's okay. As you know, I speak fluent Japanese. This is Sho Suboi.
I speak it with a Nagoya dialect.
So, how's it going? Is what the commentators say.
そうですね。正直。テストとか
We said he left a present for Heike in the car to make sure that if victory comes their way.
Is it tradition on a Japanese bank holiday to leave a gift in someone else's vehicle?
Absolutely, yes.
What kind of gift has he left him?
Special ones. It's very special. It wouldn't be a gift if we knew what was inside.
Yeah, like a surprise.
Yes, exactly. Very special surprise. And it's looking very competitive for this team. Sho Suboi is the new star, I think, of the Lexus driver lineup. I wonder if we get a run out in the LMP1 at some point.
Oh, you'd expect so. That's been seen across their works driver roster. But I'm sure he's just explaining now that they're hoping to be in the right place at the right time with the right tyre in about half an hour's time.
Yeah, it's a bit longer than half an hour, I'm not sure actually. His races go so fast. And nice drive, he said. So, nice drive, thank you very much, was the end of it. That's as far as I got.
That gap has gone out, and
It will do, it will do. It's 4.8 seconds, and it's holding around that position. It's fluctuating a little bit with the traffic there. In Nissan leads, Toyota second, Toyota. The Calsonic GT-R up to 7th position, making its way gradually through the field. I think Jan Mardenborough is back behind the wheel of that car.
Yes, you would expect so.
They've made their second stop away from our cameras. The 64 Epson NSX never got back going.
No, it didn't. You're right. Actually, that ground to a halt, that clutch problem could have been, was permanent.
Hatsune Miku still to make it stop. Quite a big gap to second position. Not enough to retain the lead, though, after she finally comes in and gets equipped with some rubber. And a bit of fuel as well.
And a good gaggle of GT300 cars now between Ronnie Quintarelli leading the field and Heikki Kovalainen in P2, a couple of seconds back, so a little bit of time for Quintarelli to try and stretch that gap because he knows it's not going to be like that forever.
The car that's disappointed me a little bit in terms of their strategy is the Lotus Evora. They were very competitive early on, but I think they've left the slower driver out a little bit too long, though. He is the guy who pays the bills. The Toyota Mark X still struggling for performance, disappointingly so. I was quite excited when I saw that car first time. It's wonderfully ugly, but wonderfully cool. There's Hatsune Miku with looking very excited. And there she is, winking. No one better. Nob Taniguchi. Fantastic article on his career as a racing driver. If you haven't heard of Nob Taniguchi, he started his career as an illegal drifter, I believe.
Yeah, after you've Googled Alan Partridge and spent 15 minutes looking at him on the internet, do the same for Nob Taniguchi. And when you say racing driver, yeah, he's just been a driver. He's driven everything. And yeah, an amazing CV and an amazing story behind his career.
Fantastic article. RJ O'Connell actually did a very good article about it on SuperGT World. Worth checking that out. I think it was last year, but RJ will probably post a link in the chat if that's allowed. I'm not sure if it is allowed or not.
Yeah, I think
well, if not, he'll tweet it anyway. There you go, RJ. Keep making work for you. The WED Sport car, a little bit anonymous this race that's been so strong, and he's going very slowly because
puncture.
That was a GT400. Is that another puncture?
Yeah, it's on the left side of the car.
Do you know what, these left rear punctures, where does your left rear go on a regular basis in this circuit?
Off the track onto where the AstroTurf once was.
Exactly, and I think that's causing problems now because those tyres are beginning to get. It's the little lip on the inside of the. On the inside, or the outside of the curb from the racetrack, if you like. And when they come back on, it pulls the tyre, doesn't it, off the rim?
Yeah, and we've seen, what's this? Is this our third or fourth left rear?
Yeah.
There is a pattern appearing here now, Sam, and it's not just one tyre manufacturer either. It's been across the board.
The left rear is quite loaded here at Fuji Speedway anyway, as the nature of the track.
Said a master of understatement. Quite loaded.
Yes. But particularly that final corner with that curb in the condition it's in, could that be the crucial factor in this race?
Well, look, the WED Sport team making the most of it, and they've lost a little bit of pace on the in-lap, but using this slightly unexpected pit stop to do their final full service. So drivers, fuel and tyres, including that one that was punctured, of course.
And of course we did talk about he's going very straight. There's a pit crew in the way there. Kind of wonder where he was going at that moment. He's set off anyway. Still due a pit stop from this car.
Yeah,
one of the most popular cars amongst Nismo TV viewers is the Hatsune Miku Mercedes. Hatsune Miku is a Vocaloid. There goes the race leader. The two leaders of both classes there together. Hatsune Miku is a Vocaloid, and that style of paint job is called Itasha. It means painfully embarrassing car. It's a particular trend in Akiba, as it's sometimes called. And you see these cars going around with these sort of paint jobs, full of cuddly toys.
Yeah, very, just super traditional. And I remember seeing one in downtown Tokyo for the first time. And
it's amazing, isn't it?
Just gobsmacked.
But there used to be a few more Itasha cars in Super GT. At the moment, Hatsune Miku is the only Itasha car. I'd like to see an Itasha GT500.
Oh, can you imagine the fan support as well for that?
Or Formula E, if the new Nissan Formula E car, if that had Itasha livery. There you go, Nismo management. Itasha Formula E, please.
Yeah, that would be... you just can't imagine. That would bring legendary fan support to a burgeoning championship. That would just bring huge support to the Formula E program if they did that. That's an amazing idea.
I remember the Mooncraft liveried Evangelion car. I can't remember the full name because it was a collection of numbers and digits, but it was converted Riley Daytona prototype.
Yeah.
The Mooncraft Sheaton, which was... I still never got to the bottom. If a Japanese speaker, Shiden, violet as in the colour, or violent lightning. I'm not sure of the translation, but it meant one of those two things. There's Racing Miku. We've got a lot of her. She's on camera a lot. There is... Oh, well, no, Miku's right on the tail of the 39.
Yeah, I think
it's just they just passed him, and I thought the acceleration wasn't there.
They're following in the hope of making a pit stop, I think. And, of course, it's the GT300 leader, but when they do make the change, Takagi here will be inheriting that lead. Well,
what Miku is desperately trying to do is open up the gap to this car using its light, basically running light on fuel, and then it can run lighter on fuel in the final section, which creates less tyre wear.
And they're not going to take a full tank of fuel for the remaining, what will it be, kind of 20 laps. They'll be short fueling the car, so they're not going to have the fuel hose in for the full duration. It will be a quick stop for the Miku. So, strategy coming in right the way to the checkered flag almost.
Well, the Subaru boys have cheered up, clearly. Retirement for that car at Fuji Speedway. Sort of a home race for Subaru as well as Lexus. Subaru has a controlling stake here. And here, finally, is the Miku is heading in for a full set of boots, fuel and a new driver.
What will be very interesting to see is if the fuel man gets a tap on the shoulder, because normally the fuel man will push in his hose and he'll wait for fuel to come out of the overflow, but because he's only fueling for maybe 2/3 of a tank or just over half a tank, he will get a tap on the shoulder at a particular timed point to pull the hose out early.
That would make a great Nismo TV video, actually, how to do a fuel stop. I'd really like to make that, just as careful, because I don't actually know how you know. I'd like to do it. Me and you doing a fuel stop on a GT500 car. They wouldn't let us do it in the race, but we could do a practice one.
So if they have the personnel, I reckon the fuel man will have a man over his shoulder to give him a little tap. Or if they don't, the fuel man will be looking to the pit wall.
Yeah, because where's the readout? Is that the fuel weight on the rig, or is it on the actual...
It's the flow rate from the rig.
Now let's watch him. What's he looking at?
It's being done by radio, I think.
Yeah. Right. Watch the fuel man on the rear of the gun. He's looking up, looking around. He's a bit bored. No, we can't see him now.
I don't know the size of the restrictor on the fuel rigs, but yeah, that was not a full tank of fuel by quite a long way.
The other advantage of that, it gives him a quicker pit stop. Lighter car, quicker laps. Let's see where Miku feeds back in. 34.1. The gap was 38 seconds, so they should feed in about 4th, I think, on cold tyres.
Yeah, they're not going to be a million miles
away. There's the Prius. The BMW will have gone. There goes the Prius in, I think that's in 2nd now. Where is the 3rd? That car guy car. There's the Mercedes we were looking for. No, that's not the Mercedes. It's the wrong Mercedes. It is a Mercedes, but it's the wrong one. And there's the Gainer car coming up behind it. So I think Miku may have fed back into 3rd position. And the Gainer Tanex car is going to be on her case straight away on hot tyres. I don't think she's going to be able to resist the Nissan GT-R. After all, who can? Yeah, there she is.
Round the outside of turn 10.
Easy for Hiranaka. Well, I was going to say easy for Hiranaka, but just around the outside. Andreas, my friend from... well, he used to be a RWTH Aachen, but I think he's grown up and become an employed person now rather than a student. We're saying on the FIA rig, you just do it by time.
Well, you can do, because you know the fuel rate, you know the fuel flow rate. It could be a litre per second, it could be a litre and a half per second, whatever it might be. But yeah, the fuel flow rate varies from championship to championship.
So Miku didn't do all 4 tyres?
No. So they changed one pair at one stop and another pair at another stop. So
yes.
Yeah, a very clever strategy.
That must be weird handling. Lefts only. It's a bit IndyCar, that, isn't it? Now, here's the race leader, Takagi, in the 55 BMW. I'm not sure what the gap is.
Like any professional squad, they've made something really, really difficult look really, really easy this afternoon. They've just been conspicuous by their absence and have kept their nose clean, and any other cliche that you want to come out with, they've really done the job well, and Sean will be delighted.
He looks it.
That's his happy face.
Putting on his show. There you go. There is the car that I believe to be in 2nd position, number 31 Toyota Prius. That car could still throw a surprise as the race goes on. Kohei Hirati, very competent driver indeed. The car is quick, as you can all tell. It looks like a mini GT500 of the old school, back when GT500 was not the carbon monocoque series it is today. There's one of the current GT500s.
The thing that I like about the Prius and the BRZ to a certain extent is you can still see their road car roots.
Yeah.
They still look like the road car.
There's the man who designed the Prius, Kanesa, and also the MR2 before it.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did the MR2 and the Axio Corolla. And actually, the Axio Corolla shared its chassis with this Toyota Prius.
Interesting getting the shot of the cars coming through that final sector there, coming through the clipping point of sort of turn 14-15. The sun shining directly into their eyes before the sun is now over their left shoulder as it sets down behind the active volcano.
24 seconds in it. In Super GT, it's never in the bag, but the Arta BMW looks like it's got it in the bag. The question will be who is going to be 3rd, I think, and it is Miku who will be up to speed by now. But will she be able to get back on terms with the Gainer Tanax GT-R?
Don't know.
That was a fantastic battle that we've just... Because there's been so much battling going on through the field, we didn't really keep up with that.
No. I found myself looking on the front straight there for the visual gap between our overall race leader and Heikki Kovalainen in second. And yeah, that gap has still gone out to a little bit more. And Quintarelli has got the S-Craft GT-R in the mix in between him as well, which will certainly aid his course, perhaps.
Well, here we go. RJ O'Connell's just... I don't know where he just finds these records, plucks them out of the record book, literally. If Takagi holds on and gets the win here in GT300, it'll be the 19th of his GT300 career, and it'll be the all-time career record, breaking the record he shares currently with Mori Onita.
I like RJ a lot, but he does need to get out, I think.
No, because he keeps on sending us the details. That's great. Thank you, RJ.
That's brilliant information. Thank you very much, and great to know the importance of the emotion that we're probably going to see on the podium, perhaps. You know, when you see a driver looking absolutely delighted, you'll know why.
Now there's Miku, and she has dropped back a long way now from the Gainer Tanax car. And here is the battle for fourth. It's the Wacos LC500 with James Rossiter back behind the wheel, and he's closed up significantly. And I think he wants fourth, and we've seen him do this before: get fourth and then disappear off up the road and get third as well.
Yeah, he has got the body language of a man on the move. Just closing down that Wacos car. He's just about close enough for a tow. He'll be in the dirty air, which will be helping his straight line speed, but equally the Wacos car will have picked up a big tow from the Gainer Tanax GT-R there.
Michael C was asking about the construction of the wishbones. I think on the Prius and the Jeff GT300 cars, it's bespoke racing suspension. In fact, all of these cars are pretty much bespoke racing suspension. I don't think there's very much road car suspension left in a GT3 either. I think that's all.
No, the cars that I was looking back in, looking at in a filter back the other day were just bespoke double wishbone.
Simon Heitzman is asking, is the Prius GT3 homologated? No, because it's not a GT3 car, it's a GT300.
Oh.
So it can race only in a series that runs the GT300 regulations. GT3 is part of GT300, but not all of.
It's a shame, because I think particularly the BRZ and the GT86s would complement a grid of British GT, for example, really nicely.
A mid-engined LMP1 engine rear-wheel drive Prius versus, well, British GT would just be awesome.
Brilliant.
I mean, people come from all over the world just to see that racing in England.
Yeah, around Alton Park.
Amy, excitable guys. Oh, this will be in Japanese as well, but it's the boss, so we'll probably have to listen.
素晴らしい逆転ですね。そうですね。ドライバー2人が本当によく頑張ってくれてます。でもオフ中の開発がすごく素晴らしかったとオフ中の開発が素晴らしかったと伺ったんですが。まあそれはね皆さんうまくいってたんでかなり接近した中でのねレースになってますけど、まあどちらも。
One thing he will be talking about is the fact that if Sugio Matsuda wins this race, it'll be his 20th career GT500 win, which is another record. And he said RJ O'Connell told him that.
And he needs to get out there.
今ロニー選手もね完全モードに入ってますからね最後まで見守りましょう。頑張ります。
They are looking quite good and confident down at Nismo land.
They don't want to.
They don't want to jinx it. Ooh,
yeah.
They
don't want to be using the puncture hazard curb on the exit of turn 16, that's for certain.
You know, a few laps ago I said, oh, there's two leaders in both classes together. Well, there they are again. Two leaders in both classes. GT300 leader alongside GT500.
Look at the debris on the side of the circuit now.
Argo 129 points out. Everything's working well. Everyone is working well on the GT-R GT500.
Yep, you back in your box as well. Never say things like that with 14 laps to go.
Yep.
This is still quite a long way, remember, the cars have done.
And the gap is still not huge. I mean, it's comfortable.
Yeah, and they're still coming through these clumps of traffic.
Yeah.
All it takes is for you to be pushed wide once,
we saw what
and
happened.
you're in big trouble.
We saw what happened to the Epson Honda. I mean, it took him out of the race. So there you go, 10-second gap. It's slowly ebbing out, but we know the Michelin tyres go off towards the end of the stint. So weather, maybe. Cooling temperatures, maybe. Keep it going. Suzuki Matsuda is a master of this track, though.
I'm just really, really looking forward to... This is almost payback for the last race. You know, Quintarelli in the car, pushing hard, driving away at the front of the field, which is what he should have been doing at the opening round.
But it does show you that the updates to the 2018 Nissan GT-R GT500 have been very effective, because the car is clearly super quick.
Yes.
There was a deficit certainly last season to the Lexus LC500. Nismo's engineers in Yokohama have clearly caught up to that, and they are really on the pace now. And actually, if it hadn't been for that rather, I still think, wrong penalty in Okayama, I think this car will be leading. It should be leading the championship already, if not by the end of today.
We were talking about the kind of ongoing development, session by session, lap by lap of these cars almost, and even in pre-season testing here at Fuji on the 25th of March, Lexus was still first, second and third. So Lexus still held an advantage up to 6 weeks ago.
Oh, that was just terrible driving from the Mercedes.
Could have been Kovalainen completely unsighted there, wiped out from the race from second.
Let's see that again. Go on, I want a replay of that.
Is the director listening?
No.
Show the replay. Yeah, that could have been huge. And that was a case of the GT300 cars focusing on where the GT500 car had gone and not where they were both going. But a lovely, lovely example of case of how it could all go wrong in a blink of an eye. Exactly.
Well, I think we have to think back to Sugo with that last lap wheel.
Yes.
If you haven't watched the Sugo race on Nismo TV from last year, make sure you do tune into it or have a look at it. It's still there, available live on Nismo TV. Oh, we've got another bit of debris hanging out on the Zensurumo car. This seems to be a new thing, Super GT. Bits of stuff sticking to GT500s. Can't quite see what it is. It's not quite as dramatic as a few weeks ago, last race in Okayama.
Relatively small, and most importantly, it's not covering any cooling ducts yet.
Felix Rosenquist threading the needle there. The number 6 Wacos car. But yeah, if you look at the Sugo race, which you can find elsewhere on Nismo TV, from last year, the final few laps, I think it was Sugo.
It was, yeah.
Where the battle for the lead on the final lap was wheel to wheel, off track, in the mud, banging doors.
Yeah, and it just started to rain as well.
Yeah.
Autopolis.
It was Autopolis.
Yeah.
You're right. That is really, really a great race, and this race has been for a 500k race.
Bonkers.
Haven't been a breather.
No, there's been literally 1 or 2 moments to breathe, and this has been one. And again, I find myself looking, and it's like 12 laps to go. 12 laps of a 500k race have flown by.
There is Izawa-san in the number 8. Not quite sure why we're watching him, but there you go.
Why are we watching the series sponsor in this little lull between the action? I don't know.
That's a very good point. Mr. Orange Jacket probably says, can we watch a bit more of my car, please?
The Ray Brigg NSX there, strategy, I don't think is going to pay off.
It's not worked at all now. They're 2 seconds behind Izawa here, and 2 seconds isn't a lot in Super GT, but well, again, if Talix says I'm going left, the Honda wanted to go left as well. They'll work it out between them. Looks like we're going to get a Nissan is looking on course at the moment to have podiums in both classes.
Yeah, and you back in your box. Don't say things like that. Curse of the commentator.
And running in 8th position, very definitely for the sponsors' attention. Should we talk a little bit about Mr. Orange Jacket and Autobacks? We've done that, really.
I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah.
I find myself missing him in between rounds of Super GT. He's one of the things that I look forward to, and I find myself thinking about, I wonder what the special prize will be on the podium.
Yeah, there is always a special prize on the podium. It'd be very interesting to see what that is, especially in Golden Week. A question came in, are there blown diffusers in GT500? The answer is no.
No, if you look at where the exhausts on, particularly the Nissan, exit the vehicle, halfway up the driver's door, I suppose on the...
You could do it Lotus style with truck exhaust.
So there we are, there's Jenson Button's teammate, Yamamoto, circulating around in 9th, as we were talking about a moment ago, and perhaps their 30 kilos of success ballast or weight handicap from the...
Oh, someone off there.
Hello, who was that?
That's the GT500 NSX.
Yeah, I thought
that's the number 16 Mugen car.
I thought that was Kovalainen for a second. Just glimpsed that white and red and thought, no, he's dropped it from second.
So how's he managed that then? Is that a puncture, or is he just... There didn't seem to be anybody around him.
Left rear. It looks like left rear.
Again. Let's have a look. Comes around. Hideki Muto at the wheel. Former IndyCar driver.
Nothing to see. He's certainly struggling with something.
Let's have a look. I still can't quite... Is that right rear loose? Oh, and 55. Oh, someone's gone around there as we watched it. I heard it. Well, I heard a car spinning, but I didn't see it. And is that trouble for Walkinshaw, or is he just...
That's not... No. Sean's in the pit.
Sean's in the garage. That's his teammate. I just thought...
Yeah, he did look to be going slowly.
Yeah.
You're right.
And we did hear a spin. And that engine doesn't sound... I'm just trying to see another GT300 car to get a relative speed on him. Doesn't look too bad.
Very, very consistent lap times.
Yeah,
but
it seems to all to be well. Takagi there just conducting himself. Yeah, no great difference to that Lamborghini, is there? It's just that moment. It's just that worry. Super GT just has this thing in the last few laps. Something usually happens.
And you know, we're all now listening for things, listening for misfires, looking for punctures. It's the inevitable what if.
10 laps to go in this 500-kilometre race here at Fuji Speedway. You're live on Nismo TV. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Super GT is, of course, live and exclusive on Nismo TV. Has been for some time. We love it. In right rear change there.
And having a good look round the left front corner.
Left front, changing all four. So changing all four tyres on the number 16. He's out of contention. Never really found out what happened there. Didn't get a replay of that, so the 16 car had some sort of moment. Was it driver induced or rival induced? We simply won't find out. And the 23 car, Motor Ortec GT-R.
Just ticking the laps off, and his last lap, lap 100, the lap time just a shade slower than his previous, but you know, he just has to be super careful going past the GT300 traffic. Still pressing on though, using as much as the exit curb there at turn 16 as he dares, as we head, and the lap counter has gone to 10 to go. It's just going to click down to 9 laps to go.
And it is going to be interesting finale. We haven't seen that lap time degradation we sort of expected on those Michelin tyres on the Motor Ortec GT-R.
No, maybe they've changed to a slightly softer compound for this final stint.
Well, I wonder if they have, because the gap's getting bigger, not smaller, which is kind of, at this point, I expected the gap to kind of compress a bit between the Denso car and the, as we've seen in every other stint. James Rossiter, as expected, is still chasing down the 4th position. And, well, we haven't seen the gap between Hatsune Miku and the Gainer Tanax GT-R, but they are still fighting over 3rd and 4th. They were literally door handle to door handle a few laps ago.
You have to expect James Rossiter to push particularly hard as a part-time driver to the series. To get on the podium will be a terrific result. And there he's on the flash button at the on the Lexus to the Bentley, trying to just make the driver aware that he's coming through and he's in a hurry.
Andreas from Aachen has just asked me what my opinion on tyre competition is, particularly in GT300. I think all sorts of technical competition are essential in motor racing.
Yeah.
That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's one of the ingredients that makes Super GT the championship it is. It brings it brings huge performance to cars, and it might be a question for Ronnie Quintarelli at the end, sort of what gave you the advantage in the last stint. He said, well, we changed to a softer compounded tyre. It could simply be a cunning tyre change that is giving him this potentially touchwood race-winning performance.
We normally get that in the post-race notes from Michelin or from Nismo that get sent out usually on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and find out that. Failing that, it usually appears in one of the Japanese magazines. They have a stint and sector analysis for every single race in huge detail for these races. Unfortunately, only published in Japanese. Which is something of a shame, but we still get that information eventually. James Rossiter clearly putting Oshima under some real pressure here for 4th position. He's seen him coming. He's probably had the radio call saying, yeah, that's Rossiter in the car. But Hironaka putting a very good job on there for the number 11. It would be the first podium for the new Nissan GT-R GT3 in Super GT, but certainly not in other series. And Chris O'Connor asks, what's the average lap time gap? And you'll be able to answer this because you've got the lap times on the left there. The average lap time gap between GT500 and GT300. I'll let Rob work that one out. For now, it's significant. I see that.
It's about 8 or 9 seconds. I'm trying to do something slightly more.
So imagine a GT3, and these GT3 cars, remember it's a tyre war formula, so it makes these GT3 cars very, very fast indeed.
Yeah, it's about 8 seconds.
So 8 seconds difference between them, so that gives you an idea how much faster a GT500 car is than a GT3. GT3 cars are quick.
Yeah, and this is your standard kind of 3-mile, 4.5 kilometre Grand Prix circuit, so 8 seconds over a 4.5, 5 kilometre lap.
When we had WEC racing on this track, the GTE Pro cars, not the current specification of the previous generation. Oh, and that was a big mistake from Oshima. Yeah, and Rossiter is going to get the toe now.
Right up.
He won't be able to. He won't need 2 invitations. But yeah, the WEC GTE Pro cars, the works cars, were almost exactly the same pace as the GT300 cars. Since then, WEC Pro has got more exciting regulations with the Ford GT and some of the new models coming into that series, but it does just show you how fast the GT500s are. How good they sound though, I mean that's the one.
Yeah, the off-throttle popping and banging just sounds amazing. So here we go, into the left-hander here at Coca-Cola. Rossiter looking really aggressive. He'll be looking to keep it nice and tight, not run onto that dirty debris on the outside of the 100R corner here. That's nice and neat. Into the hairpin at turn 6. Rossiter just runs a little bit wide. He ran onto the exit curb big time last lap, just uses a more manageable chunk now. So rising up through turn 8, coming into the super tight right-hander at turn 10.
Henrik has just observed that the Wacos car is moving all over the track under braking. What would cause that, Rob? I mean, is he struggling? Is that the tyres, or is it just a driver thing?
There's a little bit of sort of tyre movement, so the car moves on the face of the rubber in the braking area. I remember talking about the amount of brake dust coming off the Lexus as well at this time last year, and yeah, the cars will always move just a little bit, but
we'll see it now.
You have to think that Oshima, he will be just having an awareness of where James Rossiter is and looking to close him off a bit.
There was a big puff of smoke in the middle of the straight from the AU Tom's car there.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he can't have locked a wheel because he's in the middle of the straight. He locked a wheel though.
Was it the Wake? It was the Wacos car that had the massive lockup as he left for his final stint. Rossiter hard on the flash button up behind the D-Station Porsche as well now.
Yeah, the D-Station, they've had some good results in other series recently, but Oshima trying to get away from Rossiter basically.
And that's going to help round the outside of turn 10 there, and Rossiter having to be...
Yeah, he got held up a little there, but...
really aggressive down the inside of the hairpin.
James Rossiter, aggressive, never. In Vain We Trust has asked what the weight difference is between GT500 and GT300. I'll refer to RJ O'Connell because I haven't got the technical regulations in front of me, but it's not huge, actually, the difference in weights, I don't think. I think GT3 cars are about 1,200 kilos, and I think GT500s are about 1,100.
Yeah, it's the difference in power, it's the aerodynamic grip that makes the difference, and the GT500 cars 600 plus, and the GT300 can have 450, 500 plus.
Another question's come in, I didn't see who it was, asked, can you play GT300 and GT500 in computer games? Yes, you can. Older versions of Gran Turismo have GT500 and GT300 cars in, and there is a dedicated Super GT game, I think, on a Sega console. Not being up to speed on the latest computer games, I'm afraid I can't advise you, but I'm sure plenty of you in the chat can talk about that. I don't think that you can't get the new Nissan GT-R GT3 in anything yet, can you?
I think
any games.
Oh, I wouldn't like to say.
Oh, good question. Now the Lotus has finally given up the ghosts. It's only made one stop, I think. No, that's car 2.
Okay, yeah, no.
I think it's only made one stop. I wonder if he's just run out of fuel.
He's coming in particularly
He's coasting
slowly,
in, and there's nothing clearly wrong with the car. Let's see, do they just whack some fuel in it and send him? Or are they going to take it a bit more serious? I think he's coasting. He hasn't got to his pit garage. I think he's run out of fuel.
Yeah, parked up.
Yeah. I think he's out of gas. Has he done a Jean Alesi in Canada?
I don't know.
I think he's run out of gas.
Yeah, we certainly didn't see them making their second stop, did we?
No. 4 laps to go. Nissan leads GT500. BMW leads GT300. It's the Motul Ortec GT-R, the Nismo car, designed, built and run out of Yokohama. Nissan's technical centre, Nismo's technical centre rather.
Brilliant performance this afternoon from the Motul Ortec car. We saw them showing potentially race-winning form.
Oh,
hello.
Don't do that. Well, there was a moment there for Ronnie Quintarelli going past one of the Gainer Tanax GTRs. That's not the car that is in, that's not the 11 car that is in 3rd position in GT300. That's the 2nd car for that team. But that was a definite moment, wasn't it?
I just thought for a moment that was a wiggle of a steering wheel from a racing driver who thought perhaps there was something wrong.
Yeah. Or was there a little bit of... Oh, well, this GT300 driver really isn't looking in his mirrors, is he? In that Lexus.
Okay, so I think the Michelins might just be about past their best now.
Yeah, 4 to go, 12 seconds.
4 laps to go. Yeah, I'm not panicking yet. Meanwhile,
Katioka.
Mercedes AMG battle got together.
These 2 cars have been fighting for the whole race pretty much.
Yeah, there was a bit of peace and quiet during sort of pit stop overlaps, but yeah, they have been competing nose to tail for a good proportion.
Maybe Gamu's just a really big fan of Hatsune Miku and just likes following that car around. I think the battle was the other way around earlier on, I think. Yes. Leon in front and Gamu behind, and Miku behind.
As we suspected, or as you suspected, Sam, Hatsune Miku did come out of that last pit stop cycle into P4, which is the...
Came out in P3, but got the Gainer Tanax car was on hot tyres and made... Well, I was going to say easy work of her, but didn't. There was quite a lot of door handling. We didn't get a replay of it, but it was a really quite ballsy overtaking manoeuvre in the end.
Yep.
There's James Rossiter hunting down the Wacos car. The Leon car hunting down Hatsune Miku. Is he going to get it done around the outside?
That was
GT500's in the wrong place.
Canny move from the black Leon liveried Mercedes just to tuck in behind Rossiter.
They're going to be banging doors quite possibly.
Coming into the left-hander at Coca-Cola here. The Wacos car still leads Rossiter, and the Leon car. He's got the move done. Well done.
Yeah. I think Miku's tyres have faded. They pushed a bit too... I think that tyre strategy hasn't worked out for the Miku car.
No, unfortunately, it is going away.
Yeah, Mardenborough, a little bit of contact. Was that a bit of tyre rubber? No, it's a bit of tyre rubber. Yeah, Mardenborough, though. Sneaking there past the Miku car as well. Hunting down... there you go. He's with his... They haven't put him out on track with Nick Cassidy, because while they do love battling, there was a fantastic battle. If you love watching good motor racing, good fair battles, the Thai Super GT race from last year with in the drying, the Welsh conditions, I like to call them.
Yes.
The battle between Nick Cassidy and Jan Mardenborough at the start of the race was absolutely epic. Unfortunately, a refueling problem cost them, spoilt the battle, but it was a fantastic battle to watch.
For me, that was Jan's strongest performance in GT500. Oh, and a mistake from Oshima's let Rossiter through. He locked a right front wheel as he was braking for the final corner, turn 16, just ran a little bit wide, and he's gifted Rossiter that position.
And Rossiter tries to break the toe, fails. That's what when you say break the toe, well, you've got the aerodynamic effect. Sometimes call it drafting in NASCAR, but you see you saw Rossiter moving around. He was trying to get the air off the front of the Wacos car to stop him having a run back into the first corner.
Trying to get the Wacos car out of the hole in the air behind him, and we saw such a lot of brake dust there from James Rossiter, braking incredibly hard from 300 kilometres an hour.
2 laps to go. It's gone super quickly, this race. This has been a brilliant 500 kilometres of Fuji Speedway.
Hey, it's been great to have James Rossiter back as well.
Don't forget to give us likes across all of the things you love Nismo on, because we can bring you so much more wonderful Nismo action. And there is so much to talk about. Jan Mardenborough's made the move. Yeah, he's got that's going to be bragging rights back in Shinagawa when he gets home tonight. Jan getting ahead of Hirakawa, but Hirakawa's not having it.
Yeah, I thought Jan had left the door just open just a fraction there, and Hirakawa keeping him honest.
From a really not very good starting position on the grid, up to 6th is fantastic for the blue car.
Very good, really good, and good for Jan's confidence as well. Quintarelli then starts his final lap, Sam.
Yeah, and it looks like it is. You never quite know. Don't want to curse the commentator, but there we go. Once again, the 2 class leaders.
That's the 3rd time we've seen them running side by side.
It's been a fairly, for the number 23, apart from losing the lead in the opening stint due to traffic, for the Nismo team in general, it's been a completely...
In Toyota's backyard.
I know.
That tastes good, doesn't it?
I know, right?
Really good.
Sugiya Matsuda looking pensive, but I think he's going to look very happy in a minute. There you go.
The Michelin engineer closing his clipboard, just writing up his final couple of lines of notes as Quintarelli comes through behind that Bentley. And I think a really, really good tyre strategy as well, given Quintarelli what we hope will be a famous and welcome victory for the car that was so unfairly penalised in race 1.
Yeah, and I think this will put us... It's going to have a big effect on the championship points. I haven't calculated those out yet because there's a graphic that will do that at the end of the race. But coming round to win the 500-kilometre race in Golden Week here at Fuji Speedway is Ronnie Quintarelli and Sugiya Matsuda in the Motul Ortec Nissan GT-R. Nismo takes the victory. Matsuda takes the record.
Brilliant. Coming across the line takes the GT300 laurels, the Arta BMW M6. And there we see the gap. 2 cars back from the Arta car, Heikki Kovalainen in the Denso. Lexus LC500 takes the runner-up position. Pushed hard, but didn't manage to close the gap down to Ronnie Quintarelli, who for me, he'd get my driver of the day, I think, Sam. I know he's been... he hasn't been at the forefront of every battle, but I think he deserves it. He tried so hard at the opening round. And,
I think he's edged it ahead of James Rossiter, but I think Jan Mardenborough must have put on an absolutely sterling performance to get that, and also Daiki Sasaki to drag that car up from basically the back of the grid to 6th.
Gaynor Tanak's taking the final podium position as well in their Nissan GT-R of the GT3 variety to bring home the laurels in GT300.
First podium in Japan for the new specification, in Super GT rather, for the new specification Nissan GT-R GT3. It's also had wins in Super Taikyu, the other endurance racing series in Japan.
Lots of flag waving going on. Very good, really good.
And well, that's going to be some happy Nismo people. I think this does go some way to making up for the unfairness, I think, of that start penalty in round 1. I know Ronnie Quintarelli's accepted it. I've looked at it. I still think that if you penalise the 23, you have to penalise the 19 as well.
I think so.
You know, and they didn't. Takagi and Walkinshaw. Takagi also breaking records. The most GT300 wins ever. I believe.
Yeah, he'll be delighted, absolutely delighted, and great for Sean. Really good for a young British professional racing driver to be cutting his teeth out there, and you'd expect Sean to be looking at a drive perhaps in GT500 next year, so he'll be posting his CVs off to the manufacturers in GT500.
There's an oversubscribed, there's a list of drivers waiting to get into GT500. There's really good drivers out there. I mean, people like Pipo Durrani, who drives the IMSA, the Nissan car in IMSA races, great success. I mean, I know I've seen him in the Super GT paddock talking to various people. Whether he's going to have a drive out there, I don't know, but he's certainly interested in Japanese racing. And it'd be great to see drivers like him. I think even drivers like Mick Schumacher have been evaluating drives out in Japan as well.
You've got to look. Previous generations of drivers, including Michael Schumacher, went to Japan, cut their teeth, and developed their skills, then returned successfully to European racing or to North American racing.
And we've seen it with Stoffel Van Dorn and Pierre Gasly now. I mean, a stint out in Japan is very good for a driver's career. And in GT racing, you're seeing drivers from Japan now, coming to series like the WEC and Le Mans. Are we going to get some donuts? We've got a little burnout, which is unusual for Super GT.
No. Head wrong direction up the pit road.
That's right.
Yeah, people remember Eddie Irvine's arrival in Formula One from Japanese Formula 3000 as it was back then, when he was just came into Formula One with such impact and confidence.
Now, what happens now if you've not watched Super GT before? What will happen is the winning cars will all go to their winning car positions, just like in Formula One. But rather than the drivers all going up to the podiums for interviews, the interviews happen as soon as they get out of the cars. All of the interviews will be in Japanese, apart from Sean Walkinshaw, who will do it in English. So we'll try and get you the best information from the Japanese. There's Sugio Matsuda, looking very happy, understandably. And we will try and get you as much information from those guys as possible. Then the guys will go up onto the podium, which is different.
Special.
Yeah. It's a different experience to any other race series. I think the podiums of Super GT are just as good as in terms of comparing it to other racing, as good as the racing. There you go. First position, Nissan Motor Ortec GT-R, victory in the 500 kilometers of Fuji Speedway. Golden week, golden day. There's going to be a hell of a celebration tonight in Yokohama. Ronnie Quintarelli gets out and waits for Sugio Matsuda. He is happy with that car. There you go. That says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, particularly that final stint was brilliant. And a pat of the sidewall of the race-winning Michelin. He's delighted and relieved, and and smiles all round.
The extremely orange BMW. You can't really, how orange that car is, doesn't really come across on screen.
Well, the fact it's sort of pixelating some of the digital broadcast we receive here shows you how orange it is.
Yeah, it boosts the orange to the maximum. It's like one of those old, if you're in England, it's like one of the Evening Standards of Dyno Rod van orange. If you're in America, I don't know what an equivalent orange will be. An orange highlighter pen, perhaps. But yeah, very happy. So, ambient sounds throughout. The drivers will have a chat with Enthusiastic Girl and the Super GT official pit lane reporters. Will shut up for the English comments and probably try and glean something from the Japanese comments. Chris O'Connor, we're still getting your comments and we're still talking to you in chat. Thanks so much for the coverage, guys. You guys made it racer interest. First time watching for Chris O'Connor Super GT. It's 4:40 a.m. and we kept you up, but so worth it. Thank you very much, Chris O'Connor. 4:40 a.m. Where are you then? It's mid-Atlantic.
Ascension Island.
Yeah, it must be North Carolina or something like that, East Coast. So
brilliant. Thank you, Chris. It's great to know that you're out there.
Stay tuned in the chat. We are looking. We do get all your comments here in the studios. And Sarah is just keeping you all, talking to you all. Happy Star Wars Day, she says. May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
I think it's happy Golden Week, and it's a very happy Golden Week for these two. Ronnie Quintarelli from Italy, Sugio Matsuda, not disappointingly from Matsuda, which is just up the road from Fuji Speedway. There you go. That's where you finished first. That's right, Ronnie. You're right too.
Yeah, terrific performance from those guys, and well deserved.
Two-flag strategy there. Aguri Suzuki with his finger up. Sean Walkinshaw looking happy about it. And they got the flags here, so we'll have some interviews in a minute. I'm waiting for the broadcast team to get down there. I can see their magic wand of... Here we go. So these interviews will be in Japanese. Sugio Matsuda, probably the first driver to speak, then Ronnie Quintarelli. Record-breaking 20th victory in GT500. Oh, Ronnie's first. They're saying thank you.
いやー、クインタレーリ選手のですね、最初のスティント、そして最後のスティント、ものすごいスパートでした。
まあいつも通りチームの
Ronnie has lived out in Japan so long, he speaks Japanese fluently.
みんなでね、いつも足りない部分があってもいつも諦めないで。
And I'm just trying to listen to what you're saying, but no, it's
最後のスパートは本当に引き離しましたね。
まあ最後はね、アウトラップで思いっきりプッシュして頑張ってて、その後ね、ちょっとマージンがあったんですが、そういう後ろの3球と、まあその後は思いっきりプッシュして、まあ最初のスティントと比べて
he pushed somebody on the way round, but he pushed hard to get the best lap times.
フルプッシュができたんで、良かったです。
And he's on the way home to watch the football.
そして、その真ん中のスティントを受け持ちましたけども、最大のところはその
being asked a question.
インラップがものすごかったという。
And how was that in lap? And I've done an in lap Matsuda. It's pretty impressive.
いやいやいや。まあ正直運悪くね、ちょっと300の、遅い車に木肌のね区間に引っかかってしまって、そこで一回ちょっと7秒近くね離されて、やばいなと思って、まあその後もう一回プッシュし直して、最後4秒以内にまあ詰めれば逆転できるかもしれないっていうのがあったんで、まあとにかく最後までプッシュして、でインラップも超頑張って、でピッターでピットもすごい頑張ってくれたんで、まあそれがすべてですね。
And he did the job.
はい。
まあそして大逆転のですね素晴らしい勝利でした。おめでとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
Thank you.
以上です。
Thank you. So there you go. Oh, and here comes the GT300 interviews.
見事2年連続ですね、ポール2位達成しました55号車 ARTA BMW M6 の皆さんにインタビューしたいと思います。高木選手2年連続ポール2ウィン、
And another record-breaking victory.
最多記録更新しました。おめでとうございます。
あ、そうでした。
I broke a record.
新田さんが通ってさっき言ってくれました。非常に嬉しかったです。
本当にもうぶっちぎりでクルージングって感じでしたね。
そんなことないです。目いっぱい走りましたよ。
He must be right. It's true. He must have record. Great.
おめでとうございます。
Thank you.
Sean, so it's amazing. It seems like you guys came to cruise here.
Yeah, it just suits our car and everything really, really well. And once again, he did a fantastic job as always. And yeah, we were hoping for the win and it came. So perfect.
He kept the promise of 20 seconds, right?
It was close, not quite, but I'll let him off.
本当にね、パーフェクトなね、週になったんで
すけれども、高
木選手が20秒ね、開けてきてっていうお願いをね、ちゃんとしっかり、ちょっとね、20秒までいかなかったけど、守ってくれたので、はい、もう本当に満足してますとおっしゃってます。そして、高木監督、もう本当強いの一言ですね。
この
コースだけだな。
He's just a bit surprised to not be talking about Honda.
なんでかよくわかんないんですけど、すごく車とタイヤと、まあドライバーもそうなんですけど、すごくなんかこうマッチしてるよね、いつもね。いやいつもいろんなサーキット行ってこの強さが出るといいんだけど、なかなかね、本当にここは本当にうまくはまるサーキットだなと思いますけど、はい。
まあ何がともあれね、本当素晴らしい2年連続のポール2ウィンでした。改めておめでとうございました。
Thank you, she says. Thank you, thank you, bye bye. One. P1, there you go. Dinner time. And there is Mount Fuji. Let's have a look at the results of the 500 kilometres of Fuji Speedway. Motul, Ortec, GT-R, NISMO take the victory after 2 hours and 52 minutes of racing, ahead of the 39 Toyota, the Zensarumo in third position. The AU Toms LC500 in fourth, another Toyota in fifth, and that's the Wacos car, the blue car in sixth. Great drive by Daisuke Sasaki and Jan Mardenborough. The keeper Tom's LC500 7th, the Arta NSX first of the Hondas down in 8th, not very good for them. 9th position the Raybrigg NSX, Jensen Button 9th, nowhere near the podium this time out. 10th position the white Craft Sports Motul GT-R Satoshi Motoyama and Katsumasu Chio. in 10th. 11th, Keihin NSX GT. The 12th position is the Wedsport Advan LC500. Forum Engineering, Nissan GT-R in 13th. Not a great race for JP Oliveira and Takaboshi there. And rounding that field was that non-finishing Honda. In GT300, the BMW took victory ahead of the Toyota Prius number 31, Koki Saga Kohei Hirate. Third position, first podium finish for the new specification Nissan GT-R GT3, the Gainer Tanax GT-R, driven by Hironaka and Yasuda-san. Leon Mercedes in 4th. Hatsune Miku down in 5th. Got to be disappointed with that. D-Station Porsche in 6th position. And then the Lexus, NSX, Lamborghini rounding out the top 10. The other Prius was down in 18th position, the number 30 car. The next of the 11th position, though, very good finish for the number 10 Gainer Tranax AAA GT-R. Hoshino and Yoshida getting that to the finish. That's a good result for that team. Really good round all round. 19th position was the Toyota Mark X. Best result ever for that car.
Wow.
Ahead of the Lotus, which never came back out of the pits, was 6 laps down. Now for the championship points. Sugo Matsuda and Ronnie Quintarelli now top the championship for Nismo with the number 17 car in 2nd. Jenson Button, 3rd position with Yamamoto in the GT500 Drivers' Championship. 4th position, Kovalainen and Tsuboi. Hirakawa, Nick Cassidy in 5th. 6th position is Tachikawa. 7th, Oshima and Rosenquist. 8th, Sekiguchi and James Rossiter. I think they've got these points wrong because James Rossiter didn't get any points in round 1. They've got those graphics wrong because they haven't got the right drivers. There goes the Epson car. That tells a story on its own. Takagi and Walkinshaw lead the GT300 Championship ahead of Nakayama and Kobayashi, with Tomonori Fuji and Sven Muller in 3rd position. Hironaka and Yasuda in 11th. In the car 11, that's the GT-R in 4th. And there's some people walking around on the track. This is the official track walk session, some nice banners. And the fans get to go and watch the podium ceremony, but we'll be talking about that presently. We should have the information on the next. The next race will be coming up. And I can't remember where it is now. Is it, because they've changed the calendar, is it Thailand? Oh, here we go. Here's a little highlights reel of the race from today. The Zensarumo car leads off the starting grid with the Wacos car in a close pursuit, but there is the Motul Ortec GT-R making very quick work of the first of the Lexus cars, and then it wouldn't take long before the Zensarumo got out of the way. Really excited in the Nismo garage there. Round the outside, job done for Ronnie Quintarelli. Next stop is the new race at Suzuka, the short distance race. We've just corrected, but we'll find out more about that in a moment. But look at this, wheel-to-wheel battling with the Toyotas. That was really one of the stories of this race. And the Zensarumo car was probably the most fighty of the cars. Ronnie Quintarelli was still leading at this point, but lost the lead due to GT300 traffic. Handing it over Heikki Kovalainen, he lost so much time. Kovalainen took the lead, and for a while it looked like the 39 car was going to control the race from the front. But it didn't work out that way. The 3rd position battle saw Sekiguchi driving fantastically and very aggressively, making his temporary teammate James Rossiter look less aggressive, which is a real turn-up for the books. Jan Mardenborough and Daiki Sasaki making great progress through the field. I mean, they did a fantastic race, and we just didn't really see much of this Calsonic Blue car working through it.
Yeah, unfortunately the battle sort of slightly further ahead in GT500 took the attention of the directors, but yeah, they've done a great job just to chip away and bring their car up from a relatively lowly qualifying position.
Well, it was a slightly random highlights reel, which didn't say the end of the race, but there you go.
I think we're ready for the podium.
And we will find out who comes out first on the podium. It could be anyone. We're not quite sure. The girls are ready to deliver the sparkling sake.
GT300 first of all, Sam?
Usually is, not always. I wonder what prize I'll get on the podium.
Whatever it
it's definitely it's definitely GT300 first. He just announced it. Sean Walkinshaw. And a record-breaking victory for that driver lineup. Oh, that's why you don't go up straight to the stop step. You walk your way up, otherwise you fall over. I did once. Oh, there you go. That will be the photo that makes the publications, won't it? They don't look too happy. Oh, they are happy now. The APR team, lovely little team of independent garage, but with technical support from Toyota and TRD.
Brilliant pair of drivers as well.
Yeah. Fantastically engineered car, that. Funny little Prius. But here we go, the Gainer Tanax team.
Double flagging it.
Yeah,
nice.
Those
nice
Nismo flags. We've only got one. We've got a Nismo flag in here. It's gone.
Good shouting.
We've lost our Nismo flag. You've got the Nismo flag. There you go.
It's under my notes.
Here you are. That's it. If you're watching on Studio Cam, there we have the Nismo flag going. We'll get that again in a minute. So, yellow caps are Dunlop, red caps are Bridgestone. Oh, who's this? Man with yellow shirt. Presenting the trophy.
Nice trophy.
That is a proper trophy, you see.
Yeah,
so I like this trophy with the etched Mount Fuji. That's what trophies should look like. Like modern trophies are not proper. That's a proper trophy. And the etching is really lovely on those. Yeah, so trophies there for the Prius team. And they're happy with those. And third position. Slow-paced podium today.
I'm just waiting for the special prize.
I'm waiting for the special prize as well. It literally could be anything. It has sometimes in the past just been a bit of wood.
Or a basket of rice.
Or a set of golf clubs.
Who knows?
We've had cuddly toys as well. Could be a tease made. So the next prize coming up is going to be... The girls are holding it. We can't quite see what it is. Is it going to be the Autobacks trophy? Ah, here he is.
Ah, here's our Master of Ceremonies.
Yes, in his orange jacket.
He's delighted, of course.
Yes.
Presenting his trophy to his drivers in his car.
Exactly. He's a huge fan. He comes to every Super GT race. It's great to see him. I mean, it just you feel at home in Super GT when you see him there.
And again, what a super-looking trophy. Really good.
No, I don't like that one.
I'm a big fan of bits of Perspex.
No, I like the etching. You can't etch Perspex very well. It doesn't work. So no. Let's see what they get next. I think it's more of the same, isn't it?
Coming up for the special prize. What will it be?
I think it's a bit of wood. Is it a bit of wood? What are they going to get? They're all discussing it on the podium. What are we going to get?
Difficult to see from this angle. It's certainly about 40 centimetres high.
I think she's got wood. I think she's going to bring out that bit of wood and deliver it. Sean's
pensive.
Prepared.
He's pensive. They're both pensive.
They're worried. We don't play golf. We don't like golf. I'm no good at golf.
Might be a tennis racket. Who knows?
God. It could be
a single tennis racket.
To share.
Yeah, or to just play against a wall. With
no balls either to go with it. That tube of balls.
Oh, here we go.
Here's the chap with the pink salmon coloured tie. It is a bit of wood. It's the traditional bit of wood from Fuji Speedway. There is a significance to the piece of wood, but I don't know what it is. It's quite a nice prize.
Yeah, lovely.
It's something to do with the W Eco P water something.
And a nice bit of etching as well. I know you're a big fan.
I think it's carved if it's wood.
Oh, what's going on here?
Mr. Official has come. Take the wood away. No, can't keep that. Oh. Photo time. Photo time. Collect all your bits and pieces up. Why couldn't they keep the bit of wood?
Maybe they're worried about sparkling sake spray damage to the wood. Maybe he hasn't had quite time to lacquer it yet.
It could be, yes.
It just needs a coat of creosote.
That's it, creosote. Creosote is... I was talking about creosote the other day. You don't smell creosote in the summer anymore because it got banned.
Did it really?
Creosote got banned.
Oh,
yeah, that's why you don't smell creosote. If you don't know what creosote is, you're younger than me. But there you go, yeah. So you must have had to creosote the bit of wood. I'm a bit confused why they couldn't keep the bit of wood.
And honestly, I'm disappointed in the lack of random sportswear. You know, by this time last race, we'd had a set of golf clubs out of the blue.
A canoe. I thought it was going to be a canoe.
Oh, two-man kayak.
Yeah, two-man kayak. That'd be perfect. It was one golf club between two, which I thought one set of golf clubs between two, which I thought was unfair. So there you go. They got the trophy. They're doing the post photo. They haven't done the single finger photo with the trophies. The Gainer team have got Gainer flags and Nismo flags. That's yeah, so yeah, I just had it confirmed. Yes, creosote has been banned. Yes, I know creosote has been banned. I read Horticulture Week. And the Arta team have got Arta, but they don't have BMW flags. See, BMW's poor flag game here. Just Arta flags. What are the Prius boys have got? Have they got any flags?
There's a certain air of expectancy. Have you noticed it?
Yeah. Well,
what are we expecting? We're expecting more.
Yeah, they are. I think they've lost the bottles of sparkling sake. They're looking around. Is that they up there? We've got to go and get them. Don't be silly. I'm not doing that. It's just walking show.
Sake could be.
Oh, here it comes. Oh, it's checkered flag bottled.
Really thought it was going to be a canoe.
So they got that's a different brand. Different brand to Okayama.
Yeah.
Oh, don't go too early. Don't do it. Yeah, don't go too early. Don't do a Cassidy. Oh. The Nismo boys go first. Is that podium really going to stink when the GT500 boys get on it?
Yeah.
Oh, he's popped his cork finally. He looks quite happy. He should know what he's doing because he's done that quite a few times before. I mean, being a record-breaking driver now.
Some sort of software failure there. Seems to go into
See, now it's all over him. It's going to really stink on the romance car back to Tokyo tonight. And yes, it is called the romance car. From Gotemba to Shinjuku. But if you miss the last one, which I think they probably will because it's quite late, they'll have to take the really slow train and change at, I forget where it is. Then you can get the Shinkansen back to Tokyo.
I'm relieved, Sam.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a really slow train. It's one of those little one-carriage jobs.
Yeah. Oh, but it'd be like a party train, won't it?
Well, it is a little bit after a race, yeah. It is a little bit. So they'll all be sitting there on this little party train. We've still got another whole podium ceremony to go, guys, so stay with us. We are watching the chat. Oh, Arda Block, good name for this comment as well. Carving history right there. That's another victory in their log. Oh,
boom.
Absolutely fantastic. So, lots of racing action coming up on Nismo TV before the GT500 boys get on the podium. We have the supercars. They're in action at Barbagallo. I've never been able to pronounce that track. In Australia. They are in action. Last round out, Phillip Island. Rick Kelly got a couple of podiums, second and third. IMSA are in action at Mid-Ohio on Sunday, I think that is. ESM took victory, obviously, in the Sebring 12 hours, so that should be a great race to watch. The racing in IMSA is really good at the moment anyway with those Daytona prototypes. They're just working. Mid-Ohio is back on the calendar. It replaces the Circuit of the Americas, so no Texan session for those cars. In WEC, the Bicoles car, LMP1, is in action for the first time in the Super Season. That's on Saturday, I believe.
And then we have confirmation on the screen. Our next round is at Suzuka here for SuperGT. So that's on the May 19th and 20th. So back to our regular weekend slot for our next round.
Indeed, and that should be very, very good. Meanwhile, the Blancpain Endurance Sprint Series at Brands Hatch at the moment, well, now, they're probably going on track at the moment. Whereas in the Blancpain Endurance Series is in action at Silverstone next weekend, as Ronnie Quintarelli and Sugio Matsuda get shouted at by some enthusiastic fans, and they look very happy to be up on top of the podium. They've got their Nismo flags out, and there's people taking photos of them. New shot. There's Heikki Kovalainen and Suboi. Oh, they've got their synchronised shouty girls.
Nice to see them back on the podium. They struggled for pace at the first round, so back with a bang for round two.
Sugio Matsuda is going to have to head off to Thailand quite soon, where he's racing with KCMG.
Correct, yeah.
Blancpain Asia Series, and I think that is live on Nismo TV.
Yeah, racing with Florian Strauss, of course, in Blancpain Asia, and Florian, another previous GT Academy winner.
Also next week is the European Le Mans Series and Le Mans Cup, which a Nissan engine car will definitely win in LMP3.
Anything going around Monza sounds good.
Yeah. Well, those LMP3 cars just sound good anyway.
Apart from a Formula 1 car. That sounds rubbish going around Monza, but there we go.
Old ones sound good. like 60s ones. There you go. Here are those very nice etched trophies. These all go into the trophy cabinet at the factory in Yokohama, which is, as you can imagine, really rather full.
Yeah, very
Ronnie
well
looks really
deserved.
happy with that trophy.
Yeah, you know, he should have been stood there at the first race of the year, and yeah, was robbed to a certain extent, but no.
I wonder if Mike is going to take that home to Catherine.
I reckon it's going to head to the trophy cabinet, not far from this podium.
Yeah, I think so too. There's Tachikawa there. Good. Doesn't look overly excited about finishing third, does he?
But reached the podium after having a busy afternoon. They were in the thick of the action wherever we turned.
Yoshinoya was a suggestion for dinner tonight on the way back from Gotemba.
Okay.
I do like a bit of Yoshinoya, actually. It just seems very good value food. I had a really great meal on the side of in a motorway. Joe, our producer, one of the producers, was with us in the Yoshinoya on the way back from Fuji Speedway after NISMO Festival. That was a very good eat. I seem to remember the random food that we didn't know what it was, but it tasted good, which is most of Japanese food to us, but all very tasty. On the side of the expressway back into Tokyo. Wasn't much of an express though, because there was a massive traffic jam. And Golden Week, you can get stuck in huge traffic jams coming out here in Fuji Speedway. I got stuck 6 hours coming out of here once. There he is, Master of Ceremonies in the orange jacket with his he looked pleased, positively happy with his own trophy there. And Ronnie looks, very polite about that. Look at this one, yes. That'll go in the trophy cabinet, just behind the lovely etched one. There should be like a record breakers trophy, shouldn't there? Things with records have been broken in both classes by the winners.
Or at least some sort of certificate.
Yeah, or it could be like an honorary jacket that they hand on.
Yeah, no scratch cards this weekend as well.
Oh, they might have got the scratch card in there. You haven't had a scratch card. You only get one scratch card between the two.
Oh, okay.
So you might get the scratch card now.
Or indeed a tennis racket. Who knows? That's the beauty of SuperGT podium.
Or some more wood that you're not allowed to keep.
So have some man take it away. Oh,
hello. Oh, scratch cards.
Boom! It's a scratch card.
There you go. 500,000 yen, which is probably enough to buy a couple of beers for everybody in the team. Not enough to buy a beer for everybody in the Nismo Supporters Club who are in the grandstand opposite right now, because there's a lot of them. Obviously. That's 3,384 British pounds? What are they? Does anyone still use them? We're not doing it in euros or dollars.
We use pounds in Cornwall. Well, a few people still do.
Oh, I thought you just used rocks.
Groats.
Shekels. That is 3,832 euros for a more relevant
measure. $4,000, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's about $3,800. $4,584. There you go. They get their bit of wood. Now, are they going to be able to keep this piece of wood? As they get the wood up high and aloft above their heads? It is 3,695,000.
It's 36 million.
It's 36 million and some Uzbekistani som.
Very strong currency.
Yeah. So they are now Uzbeki millionaires each. And I think 10 million Vietnamese of the Vietnamese currency. Thanks for that. Our producer has discovered a website to do currency conversions while we look at the photos being taken. Well, great result for Nismo here at Fuji Speedway in Golden Week. Day off for the whole team.
In
over the weekend.
Toyota's back garden as well.
I know.
Sam. That's the reason it tastes so good. Not only were we robbed of the victory last time out, but we've done it in Toyota's back garden and moving on to Suzuka, back to our more regular 300-kilometre race distance next time out.
And it's not a very long train ride to Shin Yokohama.
It's not.
Short taxi ride then to Nismo HQ, so they'll be back. Depending on the traffic will be terrible because it's Golden Week, Friday of Golden Week. Traffic's going to be awful, but it's quite possible for them to get get back and have a few celebratory
sakis.
Yes. Well, that's coming up.
I'm still living in hope of sportswear. That'd be a nice golfing jumper or something.
Oh, cricket jumpers.
Cricket.
That would be the Super GT prize at Silverstone, wouldn't it?
A cricket bat.
A cricket bat. Yeah. That would be Silverstone. Brands Hatch are sort of one of those really expensive boxes of London Pride.
There you go.
I think that's something that should be. I mean, Circuit Safari, because of Nismo and Nismo TV, Circuit Safari is now going global. I think we need to now podium ceremonies like this. She looks very pleased to be handing out those bottles. These girls have their own Twitter feed, I've discovered, because they work at Fuji Speedway for every race, so you'll see them at the WEC and every other major events. So I think they appear. Yeah, in fact, they appear at Nismo Festival as well. Oh, and Ronnie hasn't opened his bottle quick enough, but he's going now. Great victory. They're spraying the sparkling sake. First victory for Nissan in Super GT in 2018. It won't be the last. This is the start of a real championship assault. This Motor Lawtech GT-R leading the championship, winning the race. Still quite a lot of season to go. 6 races left. Suzuka, 19th and 20th of May. Thailand, Fuji again for the 500-mile race. Then a non-championship race at Suzuka for the GT300s only. Then Sugo, the really crazy race in September. Autopolis in October. And the season comes to end, as usual now, at Motegi in November. We'll have the dates for the next races and stuff coming up on the screen in a little bit. But first, we'll have the Moody highlights reel. But before even the Moody highlights reel, we do some flagging. There you go, they're flagging. He looks happy. Not as happy as the guys on top. Great result. I'd like to do, I'm looking at the car as it's going around. There you go, the next race. Sunday, 20th of May. Super GT Round 3 from Suzuka. And there's the fans. Moody highlight reel coming up very quickly. 2 hours and 52 minutes of racing. And it doesn't feel like that has gone at all. Feels like the podium ceremony took longer than that. They've got flags down there as well. Here we go. The hero music's playing, which means we're going to get the highlights reel in a minute. It's always the same tune, this, isn't it? Oh, we're not getting the highlights reel, we're just getting the highlights music.
No sportswear and no highlights reel.
You get a fire engine thing, though.
First world problems.
Wait a minute, we'll just see. We might get the highlights reel. We're going to stay with you. And here we go, the highlights reel. No, Moody shot at Mount Fuji. No, we're not getting our Moody highlights reel.
I'm enjoying it.
Well, Mount Fuji is beautiful.
Setting.
That's thought to be a new caldera on the side, that lump. Yeah. Oh, here we go, Moody highlights. There is the Cayenne NSX. There was fog. There was a Nissan. There was more fog. And more fog. And then the sun came out. And track action started. Everyone got down to it. The camera went out of focus. A girl had amazing earrings and some wings. I have no idea. Mount Fuji, Ronnie Quintarelli, and some other drivers. The thumbs were up. The sun came out and the race got underway. It was a scrap between Toyota and Nissan. But Nissan came out on top. The battle continued throughout the race. Toyota came back at Nissan. Jenson Button had his second race. James Rossiter shrugged. Subaru expired. A driver got angry. A man changed some wheels. Another man winked. Another man just had a painting of himself on the wall doing the same expression. Ronnie Quintarelli looked uncertain. The Zensurume driver just stood in the pit lane. A legend pointed. A new legend won. Oh, didn't win. Moved away up. The battle continued between Toyota and Nissan. Sugo Matsuda looked tired. The good smiles were wiped off their faces. BMW won. And then Nissan Motor Lawtech GT-R took a fantastic victory in the 500 kilometers of Fuji Speedway. I've been Sam Collins.
I've been Rob Barff.
Thank you very much, and join us again in Suzuka.